addressing his nation.
He's addressing his nation. He's well, though, and everybody, thank you very much for all the questions that you ask. Yes, CT is well. He is just passing his BBI. Yes. Considering what to do. Karibuni sana kwenye kipindi cha leo. Hivi leo tutakuwa na mijadala kadhaa. Lakini we will be focusing on COVID-19 in the counties and what's happening in the country. Yes, there is COVID everywhere. Mm-hmm. You now are spending a lot of time just looking into social media and seeing messages of condolence, looking into social media and seeing people talking about who they have, who they know that got infected with COVID and maybe died, or somebody who's affected in this. Spending a lot of time on social media groups with people really calling out for help and assistance in how they can get to a hospital facility. We are stuck at a certain healthcare facility. They don't have bed, and our patient, our loved one, really requires urgent attention, either in a HDU facility or an ICU. So do you know anyone? Can you call anyone? You get a bed. All right, so now the bed has been found so many kilometers away. Now the thing is ambulance.
Right. And, the thing is, it's not a story that was told over the weekend and it passed. It's something that was happening even as late as last night. Yep. That there were people who were still looking for these facilities and were not able to get them. Yep. So we're dealing with the current situation. We're not dealing with something that happened before. We're dealing with something that continues to happen even now. And today, should somebody fall sick and needs these facilities, unfortunately, they're not going to be able to get them. You will not get
that. Governor Alfred Mutua tweeted yesterday and said, Nikubaya. He basically said all the facilities, ICU, HDU in Machakos County, full. And there are very many more people who are coming seeking any of those facilities. So basically he said, today in Machakos, if you fall ill and you require HDU, ICU, we will not be able to serve you.
Unfortunately.
Yeah. So we'll have a conversation with Alfred Mutua. We'll ask him, what do you mean, Mr. Alfred Mutua, Dr. Alfred Mutua? What do you mean? We'll ask him how many ICU facilities they have. So they have 15 ICU beds at the Machakos Level 5 hospital. He says they have 12 HDU beds. And they also have, in the entire Machakos County, ICU, HDU capacity is 42. And all that is full. And so we'll be having a conversation about what he said. Remember the question that we were asking ourselves yesterday is, so what have the counties been doing since last year? What is it that they've done to make sure that they're prepared for any eventuality such as this one that we are seeing, in terms of even isolation wards, in terms of oxygen support, in terms of ICU facilities and HDU facilities? We will have a conversation with at least three governors. We could even talk to some more. But we'll have the governor of Machakos County, Dr. Alfred Mutua, the governor of Kiambu County, Dr. James Nyoro, and the governor of Laikipia County, Derito Mureithi, who is the chairman of the Finance Committee in the Council of Governors. These are the questions that we'll be asking today. So keep it right here. We want to hear your questions that you'd like us to ask these governors, and we'll be asking them. So in fact, Amelioto will be posting that shortly so that you can start sending your questions to these governors. At 9 o'clock, we will then discuss hapa kinyumbani, you and us, what those governors have told us.
Sure, I think in terms of looking at dates, let's give this a timeline, even as we prepare for this. July last year is when the president was then asking from counties to show, in terms of preparedness, what was available. And it was July last year, 9 months ago, that they should have been ready for any eventualities when it then did come to COVID-19. So let's look at that as a timeline. And then let's look at that vis-a-vis what is actually available today.
Yes.
Okay. So if we're looking at numbers, let's look at the numbers that were reported in Kenya yesterday. 25 deaths in one day. Now, when we saw 23 the other day, we said that was the highest number. Yesterday now was the highest number of deaths in a single day reported in Kenya. Reported in Kenya. We don't know if these people died yesterday, but they were reported yesterday. 1,127 new cases in the country. This takes Kenya's numbers now to 123,167. We're now dancing, going closer and closer to 25% positivity rate in the country. Cases still continue to come in hot and heavy. We are still looking at high numbers in Kenya. Still looking at this, and we'll look at this story in a bit. But the problem is now that we're looking at, I don't know if to call it just vaccine apathy in terms of total confusion when it comes to the rollout of these vaccinations. But across the dailies today, we're being told that crisis looms as vaccines lie idle. Kenya's chaotic vaccine rollout. We'll look at the details of this, but it would appear that turf wars, internal bureaucracy, and failure to implement set plans by the Ministry of Health, mandarins, that word has come up again, has left Kenya's COVID-19 response clutching at straws, with even basic activities such as the rollout of national vaccination failing to take off as envisioned. The thought was that with the bringing in of vaccines into the country, that everybody was going to get vaccinated within a very short period of time. If you want to look at what happened in other countries where the vaccine was introduced, in the US, for example, by the time the first month was over 1 million people, close to 3 million people, had been vaccinated. Now they're looking at something ridiculous, like almost 100 million, and they're trying to get to 100 million by the time they get to the next 2 months. So by the end of May, they're looking at having vaccinated 150 million people. 530,000 vaccines is what was envisioned, right? 530,000. That means that one individual would have gotten 2 vaccines.
530,000 people.
Yes, 530,000 people were envisioned to have been vaccinated from this first batch. Right? That means that everybody, by the time 8 weeks had elapsed, the first round of vaccines would have been gone through.
Okay.
That has not happened.
We're on week what now?
We're on week 3.
All right.
And 40,000 people have been vaccinated as of the end of yesterday.
So we should be at half. At about 200,000
Should
people.
be at about 200,000
right.
people. That has not happened.
Okay.
And still insisting that these frontline workers, so we're looking at health workers, we're looking at security personnel, and then we're also looking at teachers, people in the older age bracket, be vaccinated. This has not happened. If we have 200,000 teachers alone in the country, and we're not even seeing that 10%, 5% of teachers have been vaccinated.
If we count public and private, we have over 1 million teachers in the country.
Right.
Because public alone is about 600,000 teachers.
If we're just looking at the active teachers now because of examinations, we're not even talking about those who are teaching and have gone
invigilating exams.
Those invigilating right now, 200,000, 210,000, about that. It's not happening. Why? And that's the question. We'll be looking at that story later and why, but this is a problem now. And we then saw pictures outside Bagathi Hospital yesterday where now anybody willy-nilly is lining up and trying to get the vaccine because you know what? The vaccine is there. It's not being administered. Let's line up and get it. So the question is, should we then open it up and let anybody who is ready to take the vaccine now do it? Because more is coming into the country, More has come in from India, apart from this initial lot that came in of 1,040,000 doses. More have come in from India. Another 1 million has come in from India.
When?
The one that you're asking me, that there was some that was supposed to have landed about 10 days ago.
The other day.
It actually did come in.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So there is more that has come in, and there will be more coming in. With the release of these vaccination points from the Ministry of Health the other day, the assumption then is that when you release these numbers across the country, that you're also releasing more in terms of doses of vaccines. So there is more, and there will be more in the coming months. And then, we hear the fears that come up from the experts, such as Professor Omunzala, who says, you know what, we have this vaccine here, vaccinate people. Because if we don't know what the second strain portends, or third strain, or different variant, give people a first line of defense in terms of protection.
Do what you are supposed to do. Okay, let's just say, all right, Go with the plan. The plan was vaccinate healthcare workers, teachers, security.
Yeah.
Do them.
But it's
Make sure that you follow.
Yeah.
Those are people that you know where they are.
Go to them.
You know where healthcare workers work
You
on
know
a
where
daily
teachers
basis.
are
You
today.
know where
they
teachers are. You know where security personnel are. Have you gone to the barracks? Just go to the barracks. Vaccinate them. Go to the police stations.
Do it.
Vaccinate. What is this thing? Ni nani alituroga? Tulikosea Mungu wapi sisi kama wa Kenya? What is it?
I don't understand. You say it's okay. Vaccines are lying idle. We're here. We're waiting for people to come to us, and you know they need this first. Go do it.
Okay. So what is happening elsewhere? Let's leave Kenya alone.
Okay, so let's look at numbers in other parts of the world. Let's look at a global number first of all. We are now looking at 124 million cases. And in the United States, things seem to have reduced significantly. Still haven't crossed the 30 million mark just yet. Still under 31 million in the US. 556,000 deaths have occurred. About a sixth of the whole number of COVID-19 cases in the US have resulted in death. All right. Brazil, again, still having major problems with this. Now 12 million cases in Brazil. If we look at the cases that were reported yesterday, 84,996 cases in a single day in Brazil. And now, amongst the highest number of deaths ever recorded in Brazil on a single day, 3,158 deaths occurred yesterday in Brazil. Or reported yesterday. Wow. These guys are taking it hot and heavy, man. Wow. And we also know that the second variant, the third variant in this case, this is the origin of that one. So it's infecting people at a quicker rate. Symptoms are coming on much faster. And in the cases of death is occurring much faster with this second variant in Brazil. And they are bearing the brunt of it rather seriously. All right? Things are not looking good. Citizens of Brazil are begging for the vaccine and saying, can we just get this in the numbers that we need it? We're looking at quite a populous nation at the same time, isn't it? We're not looking at...
it's not a small country.
Run of the mill. We're looking at, 200 million people, 213 million people.
Yeah.
And to look at what we're seeing now, deaths per population is quite high, 1,399, only beaten by the United States at 1,675. So, I mean, this is serious.
France and the UK. And
all right, yeah,
Italy.
Okay. So France, UK, Italy.
But the population,
the populations are lower, right?
Yeah.
Populations are lower. So if you look at that comparatively.
But still, those are very many people that have died in Brazil in that short time.
Very, and in a short period of time.
Yeah. It's very many people. We'll be looking at what's happening. What is our problem?
What's our problem?
Anyway, so the live stream is up.
Why are you already tired?
I don't know, by the way. I don't know. I honestly don't know. I don't know. Let's just take a break. Are you online? Let's say you are online. We'll be saying hello to you shortly. And just let's pray. Say a prayer for this country. Shall we? Good morning.
This is the Situation Room. The only way to start your day. Spice up your life. 24/7 around the world, non-stop. This is SpiceFM. Classic soul, R&B, smooth jazz, neo soul, and nostalgic ballads.
Make some noise. Yeah.
You're listening to Spice FM. Spice FM.
It's getting hot in here.
Oh, everybody steals. It's better a thief who brings something small back. And I say to myself, there's no better thief. A thief is a thief, period.
All those bribes, how much they're getting per year, how much inconvenience they're causing. As much as you call it a small case, it's worth it to be convicted.
The truth is, we are a tribal nation. Because if we were not tribal, and I want to go back to this, you cannot continue walking around with a mug which is clean outside and it's rotten inside.
We have become a Fuliza country. We have mortgaged our country because of debt.
You've got one chef working and the assistant chef wakati anatakana koroge unga nini hayuko.
The weather
It's
with
17
Spice
degrees and
FM.
mostly cloudy in Nairobi this morning. It's going to go to highs of 26 today, coming down to lows of 16. Light rain in Nyeri at 13, highs of 25, lows of 11. 13 degrees and mostly clear in Nakuru, highs of 28 and lows of 11. It's clear in Eldoret at 11, highs of 26 and lows of 13. Mostly clear conditions in Kisumu at 19, highs of 30 today. Highs of 33 in Kakamega. It's mostly clear at 15. At 26 degrees, Mombasa is clear. It'll go to highs of 33, 32 will be the high in Malindi, where it's mostly clear at 27. Clear conditions in Kampala today at 20, highs of 27. Coming down to lows of 19, 25 will be the low in Dar es Salaam. It's building up to 32, the high, mostly clear conditions now. It's clear in Johannesburg at 14, highs of 19 and lows of 13, and clear in Lagos at 24, highs of 31 and lows of 26. It's 30 degrees that will be the high in Kinshasa today. It's mostly clear at 24. Beijing is clear at 19 degrees. It's warming up quite some. It'll go to highs of 20. Soon inviting monsoon season in this area. 4 degrees will be the low. It's clear in Paris at 3, highs of 17 and lows of 8 today. Highs of 13 in London, where it's 6 now and clear, coming down to lows of 4. Tuesday night is clear at 10 degrees in New York. Coming into Wednesday, we'll see highs of 17 and lows of 8.
Spice FM. Spice up your life. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4.
18 minutes after 6,
Spice.
this is Kenya's biggest conversation. It is the Situation Room. Wherever you're tuned in, we are glad to see that you are online. So, we say, who is there?
Everybody is in the room this morning. Good morning, everybody. Where do we start from? Isaac Kabora says good morning, and he's good morning also from Beijing. That's where Master Dan is tuned in from. Robert Mbogo tuned in, spicing things up from Mombasa. Have a great day, you too, my friend. Guess what? Nsadisa Mailmene is tuned in from Lubumbashi. Lubumbashi. Yes.
Lubumbashi. Where? All right.
Okay.
Karibu sana, ndugu yetu, mabokoli kolo.
Wow, okay. You just made stuff
Yeah,
up,
yeah,
didn't
yeah,
you? Okay. David Lulan is tuned in from Vihiga County, and that's specifically in Mbale. Good morning, and Eric Gasheri Wambijiwe is tuned in and on Thika Road this morning. Washira Wilfred says, good morning, Eric, Ndu, and CT. Wherever CT is, don't worry, he's around. Just recovering from the effects of skipping your dose for 2 days. You'll be all right. Welcome back. Situation room is cozy in Gishugu, like always. That's great. Spicing things up from Kericho, that's where Ronald Felix is. Stanley Ngashe, Stan, tuned in. Good morning. Spicing things up from Mombasa. Worry that the vaccine is still that reportedly one can still contract the virus even after getting jabbed. Yes, you can. The prevention measures that have been outlined work better. Wash your hands, eat well, mask up, maintain physical distance. Read social distancing is a fallacy. Read. And etc. Yeah, you can actually do a lot to protect yourself. That's for sure. All right, guys. Good morning. Welcome to the Situation Room, everybody. This morning.
Karibuni sana, karibuni sana. Today's proverb, a wrong step by the leader is a warning for those following. A wrong step by the leader is a warning for those following. Here's one. Do you understand it?
I do.
What do you understand? What do
If you
get?
go the wrong way as a leader, you're the one who's supposed to be taking everybody in a certain direction. So if you go the wrong way, those who are following you might want to take a step back and say, hold on a minute. Where are we actually going? I see you want to flip this totally.
No,
Okay.
we're not
You're
flipping.
with me today? Okay, good.
Reader takes the wrong step. Be warned.
You're all going in the wrong direction.
Take action. Because the next thing, he'll feed you to lions.
Yeah.
So let's take a look at the headlines. Okay, start from where you're starting.
Okay.
Do one of the headlines, then I do the other of the headlines, because you're talking about vaccine rollout.
Okay, let me do. The Standard tells us this morning, revealed. Kenya's chaotic vaccine rollout stuttering, both I guess, program, turf wars, internal bureaucracy and failure to implement set plans by the Ministry of Health mandarins have left Kenya's COVID-19 response clutching at straws, with even basic activities such as the rollout of the national vaccination failing to take off as envisioned. Things are not going well, unfortunately. The details of such as thus. Like many other government initiatives during the pandemic, disorder and dishonesty have characterized what ought to signify a turning point in Kenya's war against the virus. Instead, Kenyans stare at uncertainty, vaccine hesitancy, and general confusion over who really needs to get the vaccine, where, and when. For the rest of the world, the vaccine arrivals have been a matter of when, not if, scientists working around the clock would deliver. But as nations made elaborate plans to access the vaccines, Kenya's Ministry of Health, it seems, remained preoccupied with other things. Everything seemed well taken care of by the national COVID-19 vaccines deployment and vaccination plan, but this, as it appears, was only on paper. The targeted population in order of priority will be healthcare professionals, older persons above the age of 65. Additional target groups will be based on those deemed who will be at risk. The country targets to have the vaccine by the end of February 2021 and initiate vaccinations by March of 2021. That is what the plan had read. Its objectives were even better thought out. The objectives of Kenya's National Vaccine Deployment Plan is to outline a strategy for deployment, implementation, and monitoring of the COVID-19 vaccines in Kenya. Now, all of this was on paper. It has not happened as was envisioned.
Of course. You know.
Okay, so now let me give you a little bit more confusion as you let's just mix this all up. Okay,
we have too many thinkers in this.
Too many cooks spoil the broth, as it's said. But let me just give you a little bit more, right? So this is what the whole bungled inoculation really looks like, according to this report. So there are turf wars, internal nonsense going on, and bureaucracy, failure to implement the plans. There was a plan. It is not being implemented. That's the first problem. There's a confusion over who should receive the jabs first. According to the plan...
There's a confusion.
Yes. According to the plan, there was a set group of people who were supposed to receive this jab. It's not happening. Okay?
But it's very clear there's confusion over who should receive.
Yes. Now, in the actual implementation of the thing, on the plan, it's very clear who should receive. In actually, playing it out, totally different. The lack of advocacy, social mobilization, and community communication targeting those intended to get inoculated. Those who are actually supposed to get inoculated have no idea when, where, how, what, nothing.
This is true. Speak to several doctors, even within Nairobi, and you ask them, so when are you supposed to get the vaccine? They don't know. They basically do not know. And these are doctors who are working in Nairobi. Ask nurses, ask clinical officers, ask people who work in health facilities.
Don't know.
A friend of mine went to a health facility yesterday and she asked the doctor, so when are you getting the vaccine? And the doctor was like, I have absolutely no idea. I don't even know whether it's around.
Good grief.
In my in my facility.
I
don't know. I have no idea where this thing is. When we asked this question of the government spokesman last week, he told us, come on, Eric, we have people who have been put in this task force. These are doctors.
They know.
So if doctors are in the task force, how can you say that doctors are not aware?
I don't know, yeah.
Here we are.
Doctors are not aware.
We asked Dr. Ahwale. So this team of yours, how much information we trained trainers across the country? They actually picked 6 TOTs, trainer of trainers, in every county. 6. You're training. So here we are now. You continue.
Okay, so now let me just tell you a little bit more. So maybe increase your angst this morning.
Go on.
Okay, so while other countries pre-ordered vaccines, Kenya made no plans and did not even have a financing plan. The government's misplaced priorities, including its possible award to MCAs with 4.5 billion as car grants for passing the BBI, have no cash to purchase the vaccines.
Right.
Vaccine deployment relied on age-old infrastructure around the country. Kenya's health system is broken after years of neglect and mismanagement. Vaccination plan came on the backdrop of strikes by health workers on whose shoulders the national vaccination program lies. Sensitivity of the vaccines and cold storage made deployment, especially to rural Kenya, almost impossible. Seeming incompetence by officials in the Ministry of Health that has stalled the vaccination program, disorder and dishonesty that have characterized many other government initiatives during pandemics have been evident in the fight against COVID-19.
We have seen this over and over again. So look at how much we've vaccinated so far. In 18 days, we have only vaccinated 40,357 people.
Yes.
This, basically, if you just break it down, it means that across the country, from whichever corner of the country, whichever point of the country, go to the other one on the map, you're only doing 93 people per hour. 93 people per hour. That's about 1 point something people per minute.
Per minute. It's ridiculous.
Let's say you are actually vaccinating. In every minute, only one person has been vaccinated in Kenya, with 1 million doses having arrived. One person. Let's compare to the other countries in Africa, okay? In Africa, Morocco leads with over 6.5 million doses administered so far. Ghana, 420,000 jabs given so far. Rwanda, 250,000 people inoculated so far. South Africa, and 192,000. In the East African region, Uganda has done 19,000 doses. Okay? Rwanda, 250,000 doses already done so far. We have a plan. There's a proper elaborate plan. Though these things are arriving, they shall leave Kitengela, they shall go to the counties. They arrived in the counties. From the counties, they then you expect, because you're talking about inoculating people who work in health facilities, you shall take them to the health facilities and say, all right, so we know the number of people who work in X health facility. Send those doses to that health facility. Let the people receive. What were we told? No, we started first of all at the national referral hospitals, and then now we are trickling down. And now we shall roll out this plan, which Dr. Hwale was telling us, this online portal. We have an online portal where you should go in and log in, and you put in your details, and you even select the center that you want to be inoculated, and you even select the time. So you go to that center with what we call what do you call this? Booking. So you have a book. I already went online and I booked. This thing, if it's presented at the World Health Organization and a global forum, our plan will win the awards.
Oh, yeah.
Our plan
glowing.
wins awards. Rollout. That portal that they're talking about, no, hawajui. Who is doing what, where, who's supposed to do what? City Muga has still not received his SMS. Friday got inoculated. Details were captured on one piece of paper. Then somebody came to transfer that information from one piece of paper to a black book. Then it was obviously going to be picked from the black book to a computer.
Yes.
What
if one person is being inoculated per minute
Kenya hii moja, you are transferring information 3 places.
You receive your first SMS after you're supposed to get the second dose.
These are jokes. This is
a serious problem.
These are serious jokes. And I don't even know what we're talking about, by the way. It is such a bad image. And the people at the health ministry will tell you, no.
Things are going on well.
It's going according to plan. The people who are supposed to know, if you go to every county, you'll find the vaccination is going on. So far, we've done 40. There were teething problems because we were rolling out, initially. And this is BS. Msitudanganye tafadhali. Musi to enjoy. You basically have absolutely no idea what's going on. You guys are
just like as confused as the next
If
guy.
you see the queues at Mbagathi, right?
We saw the videos yesterday.
The
It's
people
ridiculous.
who are queuing at Mbagathi, no social distancing at all, no information being given after you get inoculated, nothing about what shall happen now. Okay, do you expect any side effects? What should you feel?
It's like voting queues. They were there at 5 a.m. from yesterday to try and get
and
this
they're getting the
vaccination.
jabs, and the guys who were there are trying, really getting.
And
We are
there's
collecting
nothing
this data of all these people who are queuing there on a long piece of paper, and then we're transferring it onto a black book, and then hopefully we shall transfer it not from a black book to another book, but from a black book to the computer.
And I can guarantee you that the
3
people in
steps.
those lines are not amongst these first targeted groups. It's people who are saying, you know what?
At this
I
point,
need
by
this
the
thing,
way,
I'm
go.
getting it. Yeah.
It's 6:30. Let's take a look at the traffic.
Spice FM.
Hey, it's getting hot in here. The media has greatly contributed to the moral rot that we experience in this country.
I remember a senior politician telling me, point blank, nobody steals in the field, it's stolen in the granary. So my friend, if you're going to win an election, jipange kwa granary.
I think we are suffering from Stockholm Syndrome. Our violator and abuser is also our redeemer in our mind.
The whole political class, the whole political institution is rotten. It is based on ideals that cannot progress our country forward.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
Things are moving slowly on Mombasa Road this morning, trying to get out into the city. We also see that it's building up actually from the Way Bridge today. Yes, there is traffic on Mombasa Road. It's outbound, and guess what? It's inbound as well. Let's look at other parts of the city. Pangani moving very slowly this morning, not bumper to bumper, but it's okay. So we see that there's bumper to bumper at Syokimau. It's also moving on the other side of things on Thika Road, but it's moving slowly. Kiambu Road is already packing up this morning. Hopefully it will not be crazy and people can get out in good time, just like we did yesterday. We'll keep an eye on things and see. Garden City at this hour, my goodness, packed, guys, packed bumper to bumper. Now that's a part of the road where it actually is. We'll keep an eye on things. That's how it starts off this Wednesday morning. It's actually slow in some parts, but for the most part of it, it's not too crazy. Coming out of Westlands, getting into the CBD, on towards Thika Road via Museum Hill Round. What was the roundabout? Not too bad. So let's take a look in about half an hour and see how it changes, all right? SpiceFM KE on Twitter. Get in touch should you need to. Text as well on 40127.
Spice FM, Malindi. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM.
So let's look at another headline. There's a story that's been given coverage, although in different angle, on page 8 of The Nation, and it's also getting coverage on page 3 of The Standard.
Yeah.
A woman who lived with a man for 11 years in a union blessed with 4 children told the court that she was never his wife. The widow is in court to prove legitimacy of her marriage to another man that she met later. Her name is Nora Atieno, widow of businessman Washington Olwenyi. She's in court because she wants to prove that she is legally married to Mr. Washington Olwenyi. Okay? Now let me read the Nation story. You can tell us about the other Standard story.
Okay.
I was never a wife to my children's father. A woman fighting to prove the legitimacy of her marriage to a Nakuru tycoon yesterday denied having been married to a man she previously lived with for 11 years. Miss Nora Atieno Wasonga, who is one of 3 women embroiled in a court battle over the sharing and control of the multi-million shilling property belonging to millionaire Eliakim Washington Olwenyi, who died in 2016, was telling the High Court in Nakuru that she left the father of her 4 children for the tycoon because they were not married. Olwenyi was a land surveyor and he was the owner of the Evans Sunrise Hospital in Nakuru town. He also owned property in different parts of the country worth millions of shillings. His vast wealth has sparked a dispute among 3 women, Miss Atieno herself, Miss Felicia Akoth, and Miss Anne Wajiro, who are now embroiled in a vicious court battle in the sharing of the 200 million estate that's left behind by Olwenyi. Atieno and Wajiro, who claim to be the second and third wife respectively, have accused the first wife of conspiring to disinherit them. She defended her marriage to Olwenyi by denying the existence of a previous marriage between her and a man identified as George Odhiambo. The court even allowed her to come with photographs proving that she was married to Olwenyi. They had very many things that they were doing together. When Olwenyi was buried, the eulogy, it recognized that he had 3 wives, and Mr. Tieno was one of them. Felicia Akoth was the second, and Anne Wanjiru was the third wife. Now, the child of one of these chaps, Alan Onyango, who is Akoth's son, Akoth is the wife number one, has gone to court after his father's death, seeking to lock Atieno and Wanjiru out of his father's estate.
Why?
Because he's saying these two women were not my father's wives. My father was married in a monogamous Christian marriage in 1966.
To Atieno.
Not to Atieno, to Akoth.
Okay.
Atieno is the one who is presenting photographs in court.
Got it.
And Atieno was then asked, wait, but you have 4 children. Whose father is it?
Now she's saying that
Who's the father?
That father.
I lived with that man for 11 years.
But he was not my husband.
But you know what? We were just cohabiting. He was never my husband. I left him and I went to Mr. Olwenyi. Olwenyi paid dowry. My parents could never have accepted dowry if they had already received dowry from this other man. He never paid dowry.
And you know what?
We were just cohabiting for 11 years.
Unfortunately.
And he gave me 4 kids.
He just gave me.
I gave him 4 kids.
Unfortunately or fortunately for her, according to Justice Ogunda, a few months ago, now you actually cannot claim any kind of ownership on marriage or custody of children on a come we stay relation. Come we stay. I mean, that's what they call it. Come we stay. So actually, that is not recognized in Kenya anymore as a legal marriage or a legal union.
Unless they can prove that there was a traditional ceremony that took place.
Which according to her, her parents would never have accepted dowry with this Olwenyi if they had accepted from somebody before.
Jesus.
The law is on her side if you want to think about it.
She says there was no marriage because no dowry had been paid to my father. When I left Mr. Odhiambo in Nakuru in 1990, I went to live with my father in Asembo together with my children. The court was also told that Atieno and Olwenyi courted for a year before he asked for her hand in marriage in 1991. I met Olwenyi in a certain function in Nakuru. We started talking, later courted. In 1991, he asked for my hand in marriage, which I accepted despite knowing he had a wife. He moved in with her in 1992 together with her children. She told the court that Olwenyi went ahead to formalize their marriage by paying 12 cattle and 160,000 shillings cash as demanded by Luo customary law. By paying bride price, it meant Olwenyi had accepted my children as his and even proceeded to change their names to reflect that he is their father.
And according to the law in Kenya, once you do that as a traditional union, it is recognized by law. It's recognized.
Hapa hiko maneno.
It's going to be a problem.
Yeah, you'll need to come and prove that, first of all, yes, this dowry price was paid. Because according to the son, the first wife's son, there was nothing like this. This man was actually married in church in 1966. And if there was one wedding in church, then if you have been married in one way, you cannot mix. There are 3 recognized ways of getting married in Kenya. 1, go to the AG's office. That one is. Second, the civil marriage. Second is go to church or religious organization. Third is customary. You cannot do it. You get married here in church and then tomorrow you go to civil with another person. Nope. Kizungu Mkuti.
My goodness. This one is crazy.
Yeah.
It is.
It is.
Okay. Now, the Ministry of Education is trying to probe how a closed school is an exam center. So exams began on Monday, right?
Right.
Yeah, looking a bit confused already.
Right.
The Ministry of Education has ordered an investigation after a school which was closed in 2019 registered KCPE candidates. Principal Secretary for Basic Education Julius Dran was yesterday shocked to find out that Eldo King's Star Academy, a private institution in Eldoret town, Langas residential area, was operating despite being condemned in September 2019. Now, Eric, remember in 2019, there was this report that was commissioned by the Ministry of the Ministry of Education to go around the country and find out which schools were, needed to be shut down, which needed to be condemned, etc., etc.
Yes.
We were supposed to get
which were not meeting the standards.
Which were not meeting standards, exactly.
Right.
We were supposed to get the results of this report in October 2019. To date, This report has not been made public. It was supposed to be. We don't know. Let's just assume that
That
the
they have it
findings were
somewhere.
taken to the Ministry of Education.
They have it there in the ministry.
Right.
They're
so
just
now,
not going to give us.
those findings now found that this one school, this Eldo King's Star, should have been on the list, was actually on the list of those schools that should have been condemned.
Ordered shut down.
Or it should have been shut down, right? Now, it appears that it was not shut down. They continued. And this was during a monitoring exercise, and the school's registration was revoked because it was not conducive for learning, and its teaching staff did not have Teacher Service Commission registration numbers. These are the reasons why that school was shut down at that time. They had 45 KCPE candidates and 372 pupils. A section of the school had residential houses with tenants washing and hanging clothes as KCPE examinations were going on in the same compound. Duan also discovered that pupils and tenants shared toilets even during the examination period. Tenants took off upon seeing the team comprising Ministry of Education officers and the police. We are going to discuss with our officers why this school still exists, yet this is what they are in the field to do. He said the candidates were innocent and would not be punished for mistakes by education officials and the school management.
That's good
Ministry
to hear.
of Education should have known the school was still operating. It should have been condemned in the first place, so the questions arise as to why it was operating, and if they did not know, why did they not know? You have a residential area operating while
So this
students are
school
doing
should have been shut in
examination.
2019.
The report came out
The
in
candidates who are
October.
sitting the exam now were registered last year.
Yes, but exams didn't take place because
Yes.
of...
By the time they were registering last year, they were registering with a certain, this is your exam center. So this school had not been removed from the system.
No. Now, this is what
And we
Juan
talk
is
about a
asking.
government that works in this country.
So now this is what Juan is asking. These education officers,
Yeah.
who should have been aware that this was going on? It was not removed from the system. So report comes in, report says these are schools that are either been condemned or with whom we are saying should not operate, should be removed from the system. So even when you try to register, should not come up, did not happen. This is what we are dealing with now.
It is,
It's crazy that it's ludicrous that we have to be talking about things like this right now.
I think it's very symptomatic of, first of all, it's either a public service that is completely demotivated or a public service that wants to run its own things, or something that has crept into our system that is basically just showing us we have a failing system. It is not about the administration of Uhuru Kenyatta. We're talking about government. Government, the machinery, is failing. Government, the machinery, is the one that should be rolling out vaccination swiftly and smoothly. Government, the machinery, is the one that should be knowing exams are beginning. This is not a recognized school, an institution.
The teachers
we cannot
teaching
we
here
cannot
are not-
register students under this facility because it should not be in the system.
The teachers teaching in this institution are not TSC registered members.
You already can see all those things. This is a government system that is failing. Or maybe it failed a long time ago. We're just seeing it now. It's just been going through stress testing because of COVID, and it's coming out very, very clearly. Something went wrong a long time ago. I was asking somebody, what do you think is happening? And, they were profiling very many, things of, I'm just thinking from where I see it, what is it that happened? Why is it that you find somebody who works in a certain office, a public officer, they do their job, they're supposed to pass it along to the next desk. They move it to the next desk, and that's it.
It's dead.
It dies there. It is not their baby. It is not their monkey, not their forest. What happens beyond that, that's it. All these things of victimization, because there are people who are playing business in government, I think could also be pointing to something. Where I do my job, and I've made sure that I've done my job. It's documented. There are emails. You have received, I have passed it on to you, Ndu. You have received, you have stamped, received. That's it.
That's it.
My
I've done
job
my
is
job.
done. Now, whether you move it, whether you have come to collect it, I can see I put an apple there for you to move to the next box. You have not picked it. It's starting to get worms. I will not even ask you, Ndu,
Why is that thing there?
I will
Or
not.
where did it go?
Si anajua kazi yake.
Did you finish?
Anajua kazi yake,
Follow up.
afanye kazi yake. I am not following up. I have done my job. That's it. That is something that is really, really, really a big cancer in our government. That's why people are trained on how to roll out vaccine. People are told what to do with the vaccine. People do not follow up. People are told, shut down this school. Somebody who is a county director of education does not follow up.
No. Then now ask yourself what's going to happen. Okay, so 45 candidates right now, they've been assured by the Ministry of Education that their exams will not suffer.
Yeah.
Then now, guess what? Schools will open. These 372 pupils who went on holiday just last week, what's going to happen to them when they come back and they realize their school has been shut down? In terms of continuity.
And it operated.
It operated from January until March.
And there's somebody who is earning a salary every month as a county director of education and people below them. And their job is to inspect. They first had not inspected, and that's why this school was actually being condemned because they had allowed it to operate. Hey, Kenya, my friend. 70 years in Babylon. Do you think the Israelites were going through the kind of thing they were going through?
Frustrated over and over
70
again.
years in captivity. We have only done 40, 50. We have 20 more. Gets worse.
It gets worse.
Maybe in that kind of cycle, man. This is a bit too much. Good morning. It's 13 minutes to 7. Let's take a break. We'll look at more headlines shortly.
Thank you.
The political class, the contestants, everybody is trying to outsteal the other.
Remorse is not taught in any school. Manners is something you get from your mother. You don't get it from your political party.
Why are we so unfocused as a country? Why are we spending money and resources, yet we have real challenges in this country?
This coronavirus pandemic should teach us one thing, that universal healthcare is critical. Because at this point, whether you have a medical card that covers you, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right.
It's still
94.7.
Yeah, okay. So Kenya has ordered the closure of camps. The government has ordered the closure of the massive Dadaab and Kakuma refugee camps, which collectively host over 500,000 people within the next 2 weeks. 2 weeks?
This game we've played before. Go on.
No, I'm sorry, but I'm just going off the back of vaccines. Administering them. I don't know if it's going to be able to happen in 2 weeks. It's not the first time that the closure has been ordered.
Antonio Guterres, who is currently the UN Secretary General, who was formerly the UN High Commissioner for Refugees,
came
to the country the first time Kenya threatened to shut down those camps.
And said,
he came and said, come on, you guys.
What are you doing?
There's got to be a plan. Okay, so we're going to work out how we shall help them to relocate. So a number of hundreds of thousands of people actually went back from these camps back to Somalia.
Yes.
Now, because of what is happening in the Indian Ocean, now we're doing... Okay, go on. Read the story.
Okay, so they say in 2 weeks. So Kenya is citing national security threats posed by some of the refugees, including past terrorist attacks that have been linked to accomplices of the Somali-based Al-Shabaab militants within the camps. And they're saying, because of this, we'd rather shut it down than deal with a catastrophe as concerns terrorism in the future. And so... they've given the United Nations Commissioner for Refugees a 14-day ultimatum to ensure closure of the facilities, failing which it plans to transport the refugees to the border with Somalia. Interior Cabinet Secretary Fred Matiang'i communicated the Kenyan government's decision to the UNHCR representative in Kenya, and that's Fathi Abdallah. The CS was accompanied by his PS, Karanja Kibicho, and Chief Administrative Secretary Hussein Dado. Matiang'i had called the UNHCR delegation for talks at Harambee House, arising from the concerns that the country has. That the international community had reneged on a previous agreement to repatriate the refugees. Dr. Matiang'i reportedly told the delegation, there is no room for negotiation. This is not something we're talking about anymore, all right? We must strike a balance between Kenya's international obligations and her domestic duty. We do have a domestic responsibility to protect Kenyans. He said that Kenya could no longer continue to bear the burden of the two camps that have been in operation since the early 1990s when Somalia plunged into civil war. So what are we looking at now? In Dadaab, 224,462 refugees. In Kakuma, 206,458 refugees. 274,299 is the number of refugees that Kenya hosts from Somalia. And if we look at world refugee and inhabitation, I believe Kenya is number 3 in the world who hosts the highest number of refugees globally. Forget about all this story of how you see people seeking asylum in Italy and Europe. It's very little in terms of numbers. The highest number of asylum holders for refugees actually are on the African continent.
Yeah.
Kenya being, I think, number 2.
In a structured camp.
Absolutely, in a structured camp. But Matiang'i has said, it's enough. We either protect our people as we have a sovereign duty to do, or we stick by international standards. And right now, I'm telling you, Kenya is coming first. And that's what they're saying. 2 weeks, shut it down, or we will take all 270,000
This
Somali
diplomatic
refugees
tiff.
to the border.
This diplomatic, it's very sad that we have to play politics and diplomatic tiffs with the lives of people. Because you can imagine there are people in those camps who have been told in the next 2 weeks, my friends,
you have nowhere.
You have nowhere to live. There are children who've been going to school in these camps.
Children who were born there, and that's all they know.
There are people who've been accessing health facilities in these camps. There are people who've been getting food sustenance in these camps. Now you're telling them in the next 2 weeks, because you've already told all those guys who are the local NGOs and others who are offering support, shut down, leave. You're really causing a lot of uncertainty to these people just because we are playing some international poker game.
I think
because you guys have recalled our ambassador, we've recalled yours because you've taken us to court, because we have refused to go to the International Court of Justice. We're just basically playing it. Sometimes international politics is really, really
I think now
annoying.
This is, because now look at what's going to happen. Almost 300,000 people's lives will be affected as a result of that, whereby there can be some kind of bilateral negotiation to have this sorted out. It can be sorted out.
They're already affected.
This is not something that you can say we're at the end, like Matiang'i is saying.
By this order, you expect that there's some NGOs that have been offering, for example, healthcare facilities, water, food, school, to these communities in these camps, and they've already been told shut down.
It's done.
And they're already shutting down. So somebody who was due to go for clinic next week will not go for clinic next week.
This one will be sorted out.
Yeah,
I don't see the
big guys.
Closing.
The big guys, to them, it's just a number. But there's somebody who actually will need to go to hospital next week, and they will not access a health facility
and
next
previously
week.
they were assured of that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
There's an Nanyuki-based farmer whose name is Dion William Van Arts, whose dream of becoming a father has turned into an expensive emotional roller coaster ride 3 years after he hired an agency to get him a surrogate mother and an egg donor. It's a long story, page 3 of The Nation today. So this is what happened. Mr. His Art, let's just call him William. What William did is he wanted to sire a child. So he went online and he did some research, and then he found this particular agency called Family Fertility and Surrogate Agency, which is owned by Miss Winnie Warigia Maina. Investigations revealed that so he paid around 2.9 million shillings. And the process began. They went to the hospital, they went to lawyers, they signed documents, blah, 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 blah. Then he was told that the surrogate mother and his daughter had died. He says investigations revealed that the 13 months he engaged Miss Maina and her clinic could have been a smokescreen to defraud him. Miss Maina even said it would be good to name the baby, as it would be a great way to prepare for delivery. She said she would knit a blanket for the child and embroider the name on it. Mr. Art started doing research on surrogacy in 2017, bumping into the Family Fertility and Surrogacy Agency website. He found referrals based on interviews Miss Maina had given to the two local TV stations. Though skeptical, he sent an email to the agency which said it could help him trace an egg donor and a surrogate mother. The farmer and Miss Maina first met at Aga Khan Hospital in 2018. She was accompanied by another woman that she introduced as a lawyer. They gave William contracts to sign. The farmer said he would need more time. One of the contracts was between William and Miss Maina's agency. The second was between William and the surrogate mother, identified as Penina Wanjiko Wanjiro. Went through the whole process. Then they said, you know what? The surrogate mother and the child, unfortunately, died.
Did he ever meet the surrogate mother?
So this is what happened. Miss Maina later said the CPR had failed and Wanjiru and the baby were dead. I could not finish the call. I went to inform my parents. It was difficult because they had also lost a baby in the past. From the moment I did not talk to Miss Maina, but my parents and brother did. Miss Maina is said to have refused to let William see the bodies of Wanjiru and the baby. She, however, asked for more money to move the bodies from Umash to a nicer funeral home. Suspecting something was amiss, the farmer's family members began investigations. In 2019, William called Dr. Patel to break the sad news. Dr. Patel is their doctor. Dr. Patel said, that can't be possible because the semen sample is still at Aga Khan. William's family then inquired about Wanjiru's body at Umash Funeral Home, but they were told no one of that description had been taken there. He informed his lawyer, who in turn reported to the police. Imagine. Close to 3 million shillings.
Did they
gone,
not think he was going to ask questions?
Somebody is basically playing with your emotions.
Right. Did they not think he was going to ask questions?
They didn't maybe.
Because they just said, oh, she's dead, and you were just going to swallow it and move on with your life?
Yeah.
No.
They thought, well, he's dead. In fact, send some money so we can move them to a nicer funeral home. And then we shall conduct a service on their behalf. Right. And even if you came to ask, then we can, do something to show you that there's a body. There's a body.
The lengths. Look, if this all turns out to be true, because all of this at this point is still alleged,
imagine.
Right? This turns out to be true, Eric, the lengths at which people are going to be able to get, 3 million shillings?
Yeah.
You're going to put
Can you imagine the emotional
somebody finally is going to get a child.
Through.
Right.
His own parents had lost a child. All right. So even them hearing that our son's child has died was another blow.
And then
the guy himself, for various reasons, was unable, but he wanted to have a child. Gets a donor, gets a surrogate, the whole thing goes on, and then someone tells you, dead. Someone can't prove it.
Then you find out that it could just be a scam.
Yeah. The whole thing could just end up being a scam.
The lengths to which people will go to get an extra coin.
Human beings, my friend.
Anymore. It's not funny anymore.
Human beings are animals.
Yeah, I have to agree with you on that one.
Man. Keep it right here. In the next hour, we have more conversations. So there's a new show that's coming up on KTN, and this is called the Big Quiz Show. Have you heard about it? Eric Omondi and Betty Kialo. So we'll be talking to the executive director of this particular show to understand, so what is this show all about? And then at 7:30, we talk to Governor Alfred Mutua. At 8 o'clock, we talk to Governor of Kiambu, Dr. James Nyoro, and Governor of Laikipia, Derito Mureithi. COVID-19 in numbers, COVID-19 in the counties. What are the county governments doing? This is Kenya's biggest conversation. It is Situation Room. Thank you very much for tuning in. Hold on for the next hour. It's now 7 o'clock.
Spice up your life.
All right, so we're seeing some hot spots of traffic this morning on Mombasa Road. It's moving very slowly from Syokimau, then out towards General Motors. That's where we've seen the first complaint come from. It's okay. It's not too bad. It's moving, not bumper to bumper just yet. All right, let's look at Thika Road there. Coming from Garden City, then out towards Pangani, the underpass, and then out. Looks like it's going to slow down some more even as we get past 7 o'clock. So keep an eye open for that one. Apart from that, it doesn't look too crazy, guys. It looks like things have settled down more or less around traffic. Let's see what it looks like in a short while. And we'll look around the country as well. But traffic will not be one of your headaches today, at least we hope. Industrial area, we still have some construction going on this morning. So that means that it's going to slow down. The Likoni interchange is going to bring some issues. We know that for sure as you then try to approach Mombasa Road or then go towards the southern bypass. Look out for that as well. All right, let's talk. Should we need to? SpiceFM KE, that's how you can get to us on Twitter. Let's see how we can make it a little bit more bearable for everybody. Text us as well on 40127.
This is The Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Oko, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latif, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down. This is The Situation Room, the only way
2
to
minutes
start.
after 7. Very good morning to you, wherever you tuned in this morning, wherever you are. Malindi, Nyeri, Eldoret, Nakuru, Kisumu, Mombasa, Nairobi on SpiceFM, or watching online from around the world, SpiceFM KE, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, or now watching us on KTN Home. Very good morning to you. This is the second hour of The Situation Room. This morning, you are with Eric Latif and Ndu. Of course, C.T. Muga is well. He is doing matters of his own national importance. He's addressing his nation.
Yes.
He's okay. He took the jab, the vaccine, on Friday last week. He hasn't reported any side effects. That's not the reason why he's not here today. He's very well. Now, today's proverb. A wrong step by the leader is a warning for those following. A wrong step by the leader is a warning for those following. If you see your leader do this,
know that you're going down.
know that, hey, wait, there's something.
Or you should stop walking.
Yeah. Could it be that he was misled? Could it be that, it was just a genuine mistake? Could it be that our leader is getting incapacitated in terms of his thinking? Could it be that our leader is actually deliberately leading us astray? Does he have 30 coins, pieces of silver in his pocket?
Definitely leading us in the wrong direction.
Yes.
Well, there you go.
Maybe he sold us out. So it's time for you to actually heed warning. A wrong step by the leader is a warning for those following. Let's talk about this new show on KTN called the Big Quiz Show. Right? So the Big Quiz Show is a show that started on KTN. I don't want to talk much about it. Let's bring in the person who actually knows a lot about it, and he's the executive director of the show, Patrick Ojil. Patrick, good morning.
Good morning. Am I speaking to Eric?
You are speaking to Eric and Ndu Oko.
And who?
Ndu.
All right.
So,
Pleasure.
Patrick,
Yeah.
the Big Quiz Show.
Yes.
Now, this, first of all, it's quiz, it's big. That means money. And show, it sounds like, it's a game show.
Yes, it is.
So just tell us about it.
Okay, I want to provide context so that it's clear that we are unveiling to the world an amazing innovation that is unprecedented. And, we're not making a big deal out of it the way it deserves, because this is an innovation that is homegrown, made by Kenyans, for Kenyans, and it has never been done anywhere else in the world.
Oh, Patrick, you're so modest. Right.
So the thing about the innovation construct is that it happens at the intersection of what you know and what you don't know.
Okay.
So when what you know and what you don't know match and connect, innovation happens. It's a function of taking something that already exists, tweak it just a little bit to achieve a slightly different outcome. But normally the quantum of that outcome that determines whether there's a disruption or not. What exactly do I mean by that? So now, we've always known that traditionally game shows have been structured in such a way that, first of all, they are pre-recorded. Then we invite a few people on set who then go through the motions, then get to win prizes. The rest of the TV viewing audiences normally watch for entertainment purposes. Isn't that right?
Yep. That's true.
What you're familiar with.
That's true.
Right. Once the weakest playing, who's smarter now, and so on and so forth. Pre-recorded, a few people win, we watch at home and we are happy for them.
Yes.
Now, what we didn't know, which we've now managed to figure out, that you can actually leverage technology to democratize access to the wider TV viewing public to be able to participate on a live TV game show from the comfort of their home, using their mobile phone and win instant prizes. That is unprecedented. So the interactivity element is what's changing the game. No one has ever done this on an ETT platform. There could be versions that have been done anywhere elsewhere in the world, but they're normally web-based.
So what is this show that people are now watching as they are participating live? What is the show? What's happening on the show? What are we doing?
It's quiz. It's a quiz session.
Okay.
Yeah. So on every Sunday on KTN Home, the participants who registered. By the way, eligibility to participate in the show is by registration.
Okay.
So the mechanical.
How much is registration?
Wait.
Okay.
So we ask you to send an SMS. I mean, we ask you to SMS the word join to a short code 23774. Then you get a callback message that tells you to, it's an SDK message that asks you to pay 150 shillings by M-Pesa. Then you get another message telling you you have successfully registered for the Big Quiz Show. You can now participate at the show on Sunday between 8 and 9.
Okay.
Then now on Sunday between 8 and 9, what we expect you to do is sit in front of the TV from the comfort of your sitting with your mobile phone and be ready to answer 26 questions as fast and as accurate as possible. Yeah?
Okay.
So we have 4 different categories, 5 questions each, multiple choice questions. Very simple, but speed is of essence.
Okay.
So your ability to answer those 20 simple questions as fast and as accurate as possible can put you in the top 10.
Okay.
Now, how do we, not top 10, top 100, how do we then determine who the winners are? We've invested in humanitarian software that has the capability of picking the fastest and the most accurate answers from the people who registered only. That software will pick, it will tabulate, it will rank and give us results in real time. But we've programmed it to give us only 100 winners every week.
Okay, so Patrick, in a normal quiz show, you have contestants who are on stage, etc., like you said. The difference between the difference between that and this now is that the contestants are playing from the comfort of their homes using technology. That's what we are saying.
Okay. Absolutely.
All right.
Yeah.
Now, once you register the first time, does that then give you access to play for the entire season, or must you register every time you want to play?
Every week. Once we are done with the show on Sunday, we archive everything and we start afresh. We register again.
So I must, if I want to play on Sunday, I spend 150 shillings. If I want to play next Sunday, I spend another 100. But so you're saying essentially you have winners every week, and it's not like a season and then we're waiting for a season winner. So if you could explain that a little bit.
Guaranteed to give 2 million shillings. We've just given 2 million this past Sunday. 2 million people won. So number 1 walked away with 1 million shillings. Number 2, 300,000. Number 3, 100,000. Then we have a bunch of 97 other people who won batches of 20,000, 10,000, 5,000, 3,000, 2,000, 1,000.
Okay.
Guaranteed 2 million to be given away every single week, whether we make money or not. We have 26 million in our kit to give for the 13 weeks.
Okay.
Of the season.
It sounds very exciting, actually. I think when you're just sitting there at home and you're looking at the questions, it also is very involving as a family. So you're sitting there and you're like, okay, I have paid for my entire family.
Let's play.
You guys, I've invested 1,000 bob here. So make sure that
Somebody's got to win. Somebody must win.
Somebody use your brain. So what kind of questions are these that then you ask? You're saying there are 5 categories of questions. What kind of questions?
So we have general knowledge.
What is general knowledge? Yeah, general is not general, but
General knowledge.
We're talking about
who is the president of Kenya?
Or name the 2 big oceans, Atlantic and Pacific. Is that what we're talking about?
Who discovered electricity? Choice A, Mwai Kibaki. B, Albert Einstein.
Okay.
Those kind of knowledge. And then there's sports. Then there's people and places.
Okay.
People and places. Where is kidney found, for example? Yeah. Then there's science and tech.
Okay.
Very simple.
And all of them have multiple choices.
All of them have multiple choice questions. So how you answer, if number 1 is, we're talking about history. So who was the first president of Kenya?
Right.
1A, Jomo Kenyatta. B, Uhuru Kenyatta. C, Raila Odinga. D, Mwai Kibaki.
Right.
Obviously, the answer is 1A. So what you key in, what you send as an SMS is 1A, and you send it as fast as possible. Because remember, we are testing speed and accuracy. You have only 10 seconds to answer every question, and there's a timer on screen. So when Eric and Betty read the question, you need to listen very carefully, because when they click start and the multiple choice questions come on screen, you need to text your answer as quickly as possible.
Okay.
And are you?
And I'm sending to this. I'm sending to this short code 23774.
23774.
Okay.
Are you able to guarantee, things that would come into play, like, network interruption and things like that? Because if I'm having to send an SMS, I'm not on a live platform per se. I have to send an SMS and wait for a response, this kind of thing. Are you able to guarantee that there will be no network interruptions and things like that? What if somebody played and they sent and then you didn't receive an answer kind of thing? How can you prove that? And maybe I got all the questions right,
That's a very pertinent question. But the decision for us to go the SMS route is exactly because of that. Initially, what we wanted to do is we wanted to use USSD. We did a series of tests and we discovered the USSD was very unstable. And that's the reason why we even shied away from using a web-based platform to activate this game show. Because web is also susceptible to a lot of interruption. But when we started Safaricom, and then looked at the possibility of doing SMS, we discovered SMS is the most stable platform ever. Do you know how many SMS people send every single day?
You tell us.
Okay. Safaricom alone has how many subscribers? 30 million. We send text messages every single day. So that's the most stable. We discovered is the most stable way to do
it.
Stable
versatile.
Yes.
Once I've done the 150 shillings registration for tonight's game show, or Sunday night, how much more am I spending every time I send an answer?
Great. So you need to top up your airtime as well, because for you to answer those 20 questions, you'll be charged 2 shillings. So that's an additional 40 shillings. So essentially, your total investment into this is going to be about 192 shillings, with a potential upside of getting your return on investment to the tune of
$1 million
bob, and the lowest you can win is number 100 is 1,000 shillings. You've invested 192 shillings, you're getting 1,000 shillings as number 100. You still made very, very significant return on investment.
Unless I'm wrong, Patrick, are you saying that anybody who plays this 192 shillings that you're spending, you're guaranteed of winning something, or you're throwing it to the winds of luck?
Remember, this is not a function of luck, and I want to make this distinction very clearly, because there's a confusion that is coming out that this is gambling or betting. It's not gambling. For the very first time, we're giving people an opportunity rather, to determine the outcome of their winning. It's just a function of how knowledgeable and how fast you are. Then you get yourself within the top 100. You're a winner. Yes.
Okay.
What gambling and betting does is you hinge your bet by placing a certain amount.
Yeah.
Then you let it to the
chance.
You leave it to luck, for luck to happen. Then you win. But here you will control. How fast are you and how knowledgeable are you? That is what then determines the outcome. That's the difference between what we are doing here and what betting and gambling does.
So do you have to get all the questions right in order to win something?
Not necessarily.
Okay.
So speed is also
Speed is an issue.
Yes.
Okay.
So you have this proprietary software that you're saying that is the one that's doing the bulk of the work, cranking up the numbers and looking at how fast was the SMS from Eric. Was it right? Was it wrong? So I don't have to have been the very first one. I need also to have gotten it right. It's a combination of both. I can have been the first one to send in an SMS, but I got it wrong.
Right.
Okay. Now, this software, do you have access to the server? You know this thing, we are Kenyans. Utafungua server at some point tuone kama ni kweli.
You know what we'll be doing is towards the end of the show, we'll display the correct answers. But we are working closely with Safaricom. If even for credibility purposes, we'll print out the top 100. You'll see how fast number one answered the questions and how many questions. In fact, if you look at yesterday's newspaper, we published the list of all the winners.
Yep.
It shows you the hashed numbers, the time taken to answer the question, and the number of questions answered. It's very, very democratic.
Well, the reason I was asking that question, heading towards that question of audit. Is there a verifiable system of auditing what's happening with the system? And do you have the betting control and licensing board on board?
100%. If you look at all our comms, you'll see that there's a BCLB license number there, 0000844. We are in a lot of scrutiny by the betting licensing and control board. This thing has been approved already. Even by the time we're being given that license, we have to go through a very rigorous auditing process to establish that the tech actually works. It's genuine. Yeah.
Is there a third-party auditor?
We don't have gotten a license to do this.
Is there a third-party auditor?
At the moment, the only auditing process is happening with BCLB.
Okay, off the bat, it already seems like something very exciting that people want to be able to play. I mean, if to while away time, but of course, be interested in knowing just really how good your knowledge is, and then of course, people want to be able to win some money and have some extra in their pocket. How far do you want to go with this? How big do you want to go with this? I guess is a question.
This is going to be very big, trust you. But I also just want to mention that what inspired this innovation was COVID. Actually, COVID has been a silver lining. Initially, when we wanted to host a TV show, we were tempted to go. Actually, not even tempted. We were going to do it the traditional way, where we bring people on set and we do the use of motion. But then, because of COVID and the new world order, where there's social distancing and there's contactless commerce and mass conversations and meet instances, it was not possible. We were not allowed to do it. Now, what we had to figure out is then, if we can't do this TV show in the traditional format, then how do we get people to participate from the comfort of their home without necessarily coming on set? So that is where the inspiration came from. So we had to go and put together a team of engineers, software developers, very serious tech guys, crack this thing. It has taken us a whole year, by the way, to develop this tech. And that's the reason why it's going to change again. So your question is, how far do we want to go with this? We've just signed a 5-year contract with the Standard Group to be the host of this show. Essentially, season 1 is going to be 13 weeks. Then we take 1 month break. Then we come back for season 2. But I can guarantee you this particular innovation has never been done anywhere in Africa. So what we're saying is we've put together an amazing innovation that has a competitive advantage that can be packaged for export.
Sure.
You know what that means?
Yeah, we of course we know what that means, and we can already see the glitter in your eye. a lot changed with COVID, and we're looking around the world in terms of entertainment, things that people then needed to do, and even now in the embracing of new things to keep people entertained, whether it's cross age groups and things. And then we've seen that has resulted in some kind of permanent change, whether it's viewing for TV shows and things like that. The way in which they are produced has changed. Do you think also then that even with what you're seeing with what you're doing today, I mean, just looking beyond the scope of what you're currently dealing with, that we will then see a change in entertainment circles then around the world, that people then, such as yourselves, will then begin to develop more and more innovative ways of bringing entertainment whereby people don't have to come face to face?
Absolutely. That is where the world is headed. Yeah. A lot of contactless commerce, a lot of these things are going to be, how safely can I participate in a game from the comfort of my house? So you and your family members, there's a game show on TV, yeah, where you can all get involved. And the beauty about this is it's a family show. You can all do it together. It's content that is palatable to every family member. It brings you close. That's where the world is headed. Remember, right now, we are avoiding content as much as possible.
Yeah.
And if you research around, you'll notice that there's a lot of web-based game shows that are coming up all over Europe and in the US.
Yes.
Yeah, it's happening. It's already happening, actually.
Okay, so Patrick, come Sunday, it is Sunday, right? So when do folks have to register to be able to start playing by the time the show rolls around in the evening? Or can you start registering throughout the week kind of thing?
Can I register now?
Can I register today for Sunday? Yeah.
You have between Monday and Sunday 6 p.m. to register.
Okay.
Those are how many days?
Many.
6 days, 7 days, and 6 days and a couple of hours.
Sure.
So if you look at our what we do every day from Monday up until Sunday 6 p.m. is we've gone full throttle on different media platforms. So KTN as a media partner in this project is giving a space to do TV advertising, radio advertising. You guys have the past digital platforms. We're doing that as well. We have adverts on radio, adverts on print. So that we get to communicate to the masses that, look here, there's this amazing game show, there's money to be won. All you need to do is register. You do that for 6 days and a couple of hours on Sunday. Yeah, and we have amazing superstars who are hosting the show in the name of the indefatigable dynamic duo. So that's Eric Omondi, who calls himself the president of Comedy Africa, and amazing Betty Kialo, who also have a serious social media real estate behind them. They have a combined social media following of about 7.2 billion people. Their job is to rally their troops in there and tell them, look here, you need to be part of this.
Okay.
So in terms of investment in media assets, towards creating awareness, I think we're in very good standing.
Patrick, this is sounding really, really exciting, and congratulations to the team that's worked around this. Like you said, it's innovative. Yes, it sounds like it definitely is something we haven't seen in this local market. And as you say, it's something that's new even globally. I hope that in your quest to secure the intellectual property, you have actually succeeded as well.
That has been done already.
Great.
That was the first.
Great. So this is a Kenyan innovation that is already secured.
Just to reiterate the point. No one has ever done this on a DTT platform, a live interactive game show where people play from the comfort of their home and win instant prizes. No one has done it. And I can boldly and confidently tell the government of Kenya through Brand Kenya, I think now they have called or something. They can take full bragging rights and say we have a bunch of innovators in the country who are changing the game, the face of game shows in the African continent. Because no one has done it in Nigeria, no one has done it in South Africa, no one has done it in Ghana. And I'm picking the key growth markets of Africa. You know, when the rest of the world look at Africa, they normally look at the big four. Kenya, South Africa, Ghana, and Nigeria. That's how the rest of the world looks at Africa.
Yes. And we are right there. Asante sana. Patrick Ojil is...
And what I'm telling you guys is we need to make a big deal about this. We're not making as big a deal as it should be. This is an innovation that has been done in Kenya by Kenyans. We deserve more noise than we're getting.
When people start winning, my friend, you will see.
You will hear the noise. you will have to ask for it, Patrick.
We gave away 2 million this past
Very
time.
good. Wacha sasa watu waendelee kushinda. You will hear about it. Thank you very much.
In fact,
Patrick
when I
O'Gill
win.
is the executive director of the Big Quiz Show, a show that comes on KTN every Sunday. What time on Sundays, Patrick?
Between 8 p.m. and 9 p.m.
On
live.
KTN Home.
KTN Home.
Asante sana. This is Kenya's biggest conversation. Let's take a break on KTN Home, on SpiceFM, and online. We'll be back shortly. Good morning.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day. Spice up your life. 24/7, around the world, non-stop. This is Spice FM.
Whenever I shop, I simply tap.
At the fuel station, I just tap.
After enjoying my meal, I simply tap.
Everywhere I go, I just tap.
Tap.
Kenyans have discovered the fast, easy, and safe contactless way to pay. You only have to tap using your app's debit or credit card.
Tap.
Tap.
Apply for your contactless APSA card today. Simply SMS the words tap and go to 22268 today. That's Africanacity. That's APSA. Daily and transaction limits along with terms and conditions apply. APSA Bank PLC is regulated by the Central Bank of Kenya.
Are you a wholesale buyer of farm produce looking for constant and reliable supply of produce? Introducing Vuna, the wholesale marketplace for fresh produce. A joint project by Standard Group's Farm Kenya in partnership with Agit. With the Vuna Market, you can say goodbye to uncertainties of procuring produce in bulk. Vuna Market connects wholesale buyers to a network of verified farmers working through reliable bulking centers countrywide with the benefit of standard weights, measures, and packaging, as well as transparent pricing for agricultural commodities that can be viewed at www.vuna.co.ke. Download the Vuna app for free today from the Google Play Store to have constant access to a consistent and transparent marketplace at the palm of your hand. And if you are a farmer looking to supply your produce at competitive prices, you can get in touch with the closest bulking center near you by emailing us on farmkenya@standardmedia.co.ke. Farm Kenya, working to secure your growth.
Tengesa kidole, agano kidole.
Thank you.
The political class, the contestants, everybody is trying to outsteal the other.
Remorse is not taught in any school. Manners is something you get from your mother. You don't get it from your political party.
Why are we so unfocused as a country? Why are we spending money and resources, yet we have real challenges in this country?
This coronavirus pandemic should teach us one thing, that universal healthcare is critical. Because at this point, whether you have a medical card that covers you, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
Classic soul, R&B, smooth jazz, neo soul, and nostalgic ballads.
Make some noise. Yeah!
You're listening to Spice FM.
Okay. Cloudy conditions in parts of Nairobi today, and also some sprinkles in some parts. 18 degrees is what we're looking at. We'll go to highs of 26 today, lows of 16. Light rain in Nyeri at 13, highs of 25, lows of 11. It's sunny in Nakuru at 14, highs of 28 and lows of 11. 26 will be the high in Eldoret today. It's sunny now at 13. Sunny conditions in Kisumu at 20, going to highs of 30, lows of 19. 15 will be the low in Kakamega today. It's 16 at the moment and mostly sunny. Sunny conditions as well in Mombasa, highs of 33, highs of 32 in Malindi. It's partly sunny now at 26. Mostly sunny conditions in Kampala at 20. It'll go to highs of 27 and lows of 18. 32 will be the high in Dar es Salaam today. It's mostly sunny at 25. It's a foggy morning in Johannesburg at 13 degrees. That'll be the low for today as it climbs to highs of 19. Cloudy conditions in Lagos, a chance of rain later with highs of 31 down to lows of 26. And it's raining in Kinshasa already at 23. We'll see highs of 30 back down to lows of 23.
Are you ready? Okay.
Spice FM.
Okay, what are we looking at now? Slow on Jogo Road as you try to get into the CBD, onto Landis Road, and it's going to be slow as well. Not bumper to bumper, but moving slowly as you get into the city centre. It's also slow Mombasa Road out and inbound, right around Airtel on Mombasa Road. The Likoni interchange is feeding off some traffic onto Mombasa Road as well. As you try to get into the city, you're going to get stuck right around at Nyayo Stadium roundabout, headed onto Huru Highway into the CBD and then out towards Westlands. Looking rather slow this morning as well. Coming off of Langata Road, Gong Road, looking good. As you get to the various roundabouts, you should be all right. Construction continues in industrial area, however. We're looking at Likoni and Lunga Lunga. Very slow this morning because of that. Let's keep an eye on things and how they change in a while. Coming off of Thika Road as well is also slow. The bypasses, however, will do you good this morning. SpiceFM KE, that's how you can get in touch on Twitter. Text SpiceFM, or rather 40127.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right.
All right, it is 29 minutes to 8 o'clock. This is Kenya's biggest conversation. It is the Situation Room, broadcasting on SpiceFM, KTN Home, and we live stream the show online every weekday morning, 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. In the room with you this morning is Eric Latif, Ndu Oko. Our colleague C.T. Muga is not in today. He's well. What he's doing is addressing his nation. He's handling some matters of national importance. So keep it right here. So let's switch the conversation from now until the end of the show to COVID-19 and how the country is handling and dealing with COVID-19 at present. Okay? So we know for a fact that we are in the third wave of COVID-19. We are seeing for a fact that there are very many more people who are requiring hospitalization now. If you compare this to the first wave or the second wave of COVID-19, the number of people who are dying in a day is also quite high. How many died yesterday?
25.
25 reported dead.
Reported death yesterday.
And the number of people who are in ICUs around the country is more than 120.
Yes.
In ICUs around the country.
The number we're looking at yesterday was 124.
There you go.
Yeah.
124 people in ICUs around the country. Others seeking HDUs. Now, if we look at what we know as our bed capacity in the country, in the counties, as of May 2020, the country had 209 ICU beds in 42 counties. By this time, several counties have reported, because of COVID-19, they put in some effort, they did something, they got some money from the national government, they allocated some of their budgets to increase their bed capacity. They say that they have 493 ICU beds in the 42 counties. However, like we've heard from doctors, there could be ICU beds, but are they well equipped? And do they have the staff that are required to actually run these ICU facilities? So these are questions that have actually come up. So yes, you're talking about extra ICU beds, but do you have the healthcare workers who are trained to work in an ICU and to deal with ICU cases? That is an issue. Now, as we speak, we are seeing the Council of Governors coming out to say, yes, we are going on with the vaccination exercise, and that's another conversation we'll have. But at the same time, let's take care of what we are doing to deal with COVID-19. The primary measures that you need to do: make sure that you avoid social distancing, physical distancing. Try as much as possible, sanitize as often as possible, mask up as much as possible. Yesterday, there was a tweet by Governor Dr. Alfred Mutua, who was talking about the situation in his Machakos County. And he said, look, from what we are seeing, the situation is actually getting dire. And this is what he said. He said, Nikubaya, and that was his first message. All our Machakos level 5 hospitals, 15 ICU beds, and additional 12 HDU beds, that makes a total of 27, are full with severe COVID patients. All the Machakos 42 ICU and HDU beds with oxygen points are also full. People are waiting for others to die to get a bed. Mask up, avoid bars and social places. Be wise. Hakuna vitanda. My core message is that things are getting worse in Kenya. Machakos, as the leading county in healthcare due to our work, is starting to get strained. Those with ears will hear, and those who don't have will ignore the reality on the ground. Your life is yours. Jichagulie. This is what the governor was saying. And of course, there was a lot of reaction on social media. Some people saying, yes, it's true. Yesterday, we even saw a story carried by the Standard talking about the same thing that's happening in Machakos County. And we have seen other stories and other cases from other counties, especially the bedroom counties of Nairobi. We're talking about Nairobi, Machakos, Kajiado, Kiambu. They have been hard hit. People are looking for hospital bed. You don't get a hospital bed in Nairobi. The healthcare workers there call their friends and their colleagues from other hospitals around the county and other counties, and they get a bed, and you're told now you have to transfer your patient to that other facility. And that is when you're lucky. In many cases, people are not getting that lucky.
Absolutely.
What's the situation on the ground, and how did we get here? We have Dr. Alfred Mutua joining us on the line now. Good morning, Governor.
Good morning, Eric. Good morning. I'm glad to be here.
Good to have you on the show. Asante sana for speaking to us. What you said yesterday on that tweet message, you basically decided to come out and put the situation down as it is, saying, I don't have the capacity to deal with the rising number of cases that are being referred to hospitals in my county. Why did you decide to do that?
Well, we had a meeting the previous day with the Council of Governors where we discussed the dire situation in the country. And then I looked around and I realized that there's a sense of apathy in our community. People are not taking this third wave seriously. You look at what has happened in countries like Germany that have had a lockdown for like 3-4 months now. You look at France, you look at the UK where they've even now restricted leisure travel. You can't leave the UK unless it's for medical grounds or of an emergency. You can't just travel. You look at what's happening in South Africa, and then you look at the numbers that are rising in Kenya. We've lost colleagues, we've lost friends. And when I sit down and I look at the numbers, our positivity rate was 1% in November, 2% in November, December. Now you look, we are up to 22%. Something is wrong. We are back to where we were last March. And incidentally, if you remember last March, around the same time, it's when President Uhuru said no state travel, no travel for state officers, lockdown. It was March last year, about the same time. So a year later, we are suffering the same consequences. You look at what happened in Rwanda then, what is happening now, and then I've seen a laissez-faire because people really are removed from reality. Unless you have a relative or a friend who is dying, people have gone back to... you go to bars, you go to churches, you go to supermarkets, you go to birthday parties left, right, and center, markets. We are back to where we were, and people are starting to die in large numbers. And when I say people, I mean especially young men from the ages of 25 to 50.
So where is the problem as we're looking at it? Because from the message that you sent out yesterday, and which maybe even some would say it would have come even earlier, but all right, from the message that you sent out yesterday, there are two issues here. Is that one, a health system that is on its knees. That's a major problem that needs to be dealt with. At the same time, a population of people who are not taking this thing seriously, are not doing what they can to make sure that they are protected. Where do you think action needs to happen in order to get things sorted out?
I think it's very important for people to understand. I've seen some tweets and I don't want to be rude, but they are very simplistic. Because you can't just blame the national government, the county governments for lack of health facilities, etc. When COVID came out, President Obama had a write-up, and he said very well, the problem is not provision of healthcare. The problem is healthcare getting overwhelmed. You don't need a lot of ICU beds in a country because usually very few people make it to the ICU and people survive and get out. So you find that hospitals usually have, you go 10, 15, 20, 80, big cosmopolitan. ICU, smaller places usually have 1 or 2 beds of ICU. You don't need a lot of ICU beds. However, if the systems get overwhelmed, and that's what COVID is doing, then you see the situation that happened in Italy, for example. You see the situation that is happening in Brazil. You see the situation that happened in New York City, whereby, yes, you've got the ICUs that under normal circumstances are enough, but now when you've got so many patients coming in for that disease, it becomes a problem. So I have to commend the national government. President Uhuru Kenyatta came out and said, let's ramp up our healthcare. You know, we have the machines that have come in from that program of the national government. Some of governors like us, we've invested heavily, 35% of our budget has always gone to healthcare. We invested heavily on healthcare. We have the ambulances, we've built more hospitals, etc. But the challenge is this end of ICU beds. An ICU bed costs between 6 to 10 million, depending on the quality. If you have good ones with everything, they're expensive. But what is more expensive is what Eric was talking about. You can have the beds, but do you have the personnel? Because in reality, what is needed, the good, the good scenario should be one nurse, for example, per patient. 24 hours, that means a nurse working in shifts, maybe 2 to 3 nurses taking care of one patient. That's an ICU nurse. An ICU nurse has to go for special training.
Sure.
So a bad case scenario is one nurse for 2 patients. While we in Kenya, we've got one nurse looking at 10 ICU patients. I mean, we're just, sorry about that, we're just basically killing our people because we just don't have the personnel. Now, whose problem is it that we don't have the personnel? Well, it's a third world phenomenon. We haven't been able to train enough healthcare workers. We've not had the budget to sustain the salaries of healthcare workers, and it's a challenge everywhere. If you go to the UAE, for example, they are importing labor. It is easy for you, if you're a nurse, for example, to get residency in Australia, or to be a citizen in England, or to be a citizen in North America or in Canada, if you are a nurse or a medical officer. Why? Because the world lacks qualified and available health workers. It's just a reality on the ground. So the issue is, let's not get to treatment. Let's stop this at prevention.
Sure, Dr. Mutua, I can definitely agree with you on that. But if we look at some of the specific issues that we are dealing with in the country, sure, what you did is that you gave a picture of Machakos and what that looks like. 15 ICU beds is actually one of the highest. Is actually one of the highest in the country. Right? If we're looking outside of Nairobi, is actually one of the highest. And if all of those are full, then there's a problem. But if we look at specific issues that some hospitals are dealing with, you might have an ICU bed, just like you've talked about, but you have no staff to man it. You might have an ICU bed or HDU unit, but you don't have oxygen. Are those problems that we really should be dealing with now, even if we have budget constraints and things like that? Should we really be dealing with something as menial as providing oxygen in a health facility today in Kenya, regardless of whether it's a third world phenomenon or not? Should we be dealing with a problem as basic as providing oxygen, having that available?
I concur with you. Provision of oxygen is not very simple, but it depends on the investment. We've really not, and let me tell you, the only president who's really invested in healthcare is President Uhuru Kenyatta. Uhuru Kenyatta has done quite a number of things wrong, like appoint some of the wrong people to deputize him and others. But one of the good things he's done right is invested heavily in healthcare. In Machakos, for example, and this is county by county, we decided to invest in healthcare. The basics from just normal life-saving operations, like just getting the ambulances available for 5 to 8 minute response across the county. We installed, a level 5 an oxygen plant. We provided oxygen tanks in our level 4 hospitals. We have piped oxygen. We have provided these beds and etc. These are things that should have been invested in that 24 years of Moi era. If we say the first 15 years of Jomo Kenyatta was trial and error. This should have been done 25 years ago and revamped with time. But healthcare has been neglected. When COVID came out, I said that COVID is an equalizer because Kenya for a long time has been a class where healthcare is a status symbol. You fall sick, you have the money, you go to South Africa. You fall sick, you're taken to India. You fall sick, you're going to England or to America if you have the money. But what happens if you're poor? If you're from the village, you die. And then we say, we loved you, but God loved you more. No, it's nothing like that. God doesn't love the poor more. It's only because we've had a class system when it comes to healthcare. And this is a wake-up call to all of us as leaders in this country. Let us invest heavily in healthcare, but not only in provision of equipment, but let's also see what we can do to churn out our people who can actually be available to serve as nurses, as doctors. Currently, the salaries we pay doctors, currently the salaries we pay nurses, currently the salaries we pay our health workers are very high, not really sustainable from a management perspective. They are not sustainable. I mean, our doctors are paid at the same rate as doctors in New York City, as doctors in Washington, as doctors in the UK, as doctors in Australia, developed economies. Our doctors are paid nearly double what you pay doctors in a very good health system in Cuba, in Brazil, in other, countries that are more advanced in healthcare. So we'll have to find a balance. Either we allocate more to healthcare, we have to have austerity measures in other issues. But to me, healthcare is critical.
It's critical,
but it cannot just be a knee-jerk reaction that ongezeni vitanda. Unaongeza kitanda, who is the nurse taking care of that? Because it's not just a kitanda. There are the machines. There is the equipment. I mean, there are those called, I think they're called CVC lines. You need an anesthetist to do that. In the entire country, we only have 75 of them to serve 42 million people, 45 million people, only 75 people. So you can increase these beds and they are lying there, but you don't have the personnel to actually hook up that line to save a life. So we also need a reality check in terms of a comprehensive health program.
Right. Dr. Mutua, in the last 1 year, and you've said very well, COVID started a year ago. In the last 1 year, there has been a lot of conversation at both the COG, the Council of Governors, with the national government, within the national government, on what needs to happen to at least prepare ourselves better as the situation unfolds. Now, where we are sitting today is we are seeing a number of people who need healthcare, who need that critical care, not being able to access it. Did we prepare adequately? 5 billion shillings allocated by the national government, extra amounts of money allocated by county governments. Where did all this money go if we're getting to a point where we're still looking at a shortage of HDU, ICU beds, or even isolation beds?
No, I think we've prepared, and I think that's a reality check we need to tell people. We are way better than we were a year ago, and that's the reality.
How so?
I mean, in Machakos, when I got into Machakos, we had 0 ICU beds, 0 HDU beds. Within a few years, I had 6, and those were enough because we only had 2 people, 1 person in a week, 3 if you're busy, and we're able to revamp. I mean, I don't have 15. I have in the excess of close to 25 ICU beds. When you add HDU beds, I have 42. We have oxygen points up to 60. We have prepared. All the counties now have ICU beds. Counties do not have ICU beds. You only had ICU beds in the provincial hospitals, so-called provincial hospitals, level 6 hospitals, or the big level 5 hospitals. Now, every county in this country has ICU beds.
Can I interject here, Dr. Mutua? I'm sorry, but I've got to stop you because you can have the ICU bed, but if it's not functional, it's useless. And I think we've already agreed on that we can have a bed, but if you don't have somebody who's manning the bed, you don't have a scientist for the bed, it's useless. You can't use it. So you can't really say that you have one. We have examples that have come in just reporting yesterday that we can have the bed and we can tick off the numbers, but if they're not functional, they're not helping lives, they're not saving lives, so we have nothing. And I think that's the situation.
Which brings me back to that question I was asking. So if in the last 1 year we have had all this conversation, let's hire 1,000 healthcare workers, let's increase the amount of money that we are channeling towards the counties so that they can prepare better. What happened, Dr. Mutua, in terms of, if you can say Nandi County, for example, there was a report on the Standard yesterday, was saying that Nandi County MCAs were saying we have the beds, but we don't have the personnel.
I think it's a challenge across the board, and it's not just about bringing in the personnel, because if you look at how many ICU nurses are out there unemployed in this country today, I mean, they are basically zero, because all the nurses that we have who are ICU are actually employed. We're actually now training more so that they could be employed into the national service for healthcare. So it's a challenge across the board. Provision of health services is very expensive. It's not just an issue of just having the person there. There is what you call recurrent budget. For example, in my budget of 12.5 to 13 billion, 50% of that budget, 50% of that budget goes to healthcare. You know, you have to provide gloves, you have to provide medicines, you have to provide salaries to health workers, you have to provide benefits to health workers, you have to provide all these items, you know, infrastructure to provide healthcare. So on my budget, 50% are on healthcare. 50% now is supposed to do the other things, provide water, do all these things that now remove people from going to hospital, provide good roads, provide security, provide markets, provide schools, you know. So healthcare is a very expensive venture, and that is why the insurance companies also come in and they make a lot of money from healthcare because, you know, it's something you can't do without. So even as we criticize what has not happened, we have to be realistic in terms of the cost of healthcare and what has been done. I have done my part in Machakos. You know, we can do, and we are still doing more. As we speak right now, I have construction going on of extra wards. I have construction going on of extra ICU beds. I have construction going on. We are employing more doctors in Machakos. I have employed more nurses than any other county in Kenya. You know, extra nurses. I employed at one time over close to 1,000 new nurses than what I found. So I have done my part, but can I afford it? It's becoming impossible to afford it because the general problem we have in this country is a low-income country where the economy is basically struggling. We don't have money in circulation. We are a country of bureaucracy. We are a country whereby our president said we lose 2 billion a day to corruption. And this is not corruption by people coming in from Uganda or Tanzania and Rwanda stealing from us. These are people who are close to him. As we say, kikulacho kingoni mwako. You know, this is a challenge we face as a country, and it's a challenge of this is where we are. Our politics are very bad. We employ the wrong type of leaders because we don't look at the ability of a leader. We look at how big the Kitambi is and what tribe they come from and who their father or mother was. We don't look at persons with ideas and love for this country, and therein lies our problems.
Dr. Mutua, when you tweeted this yesterday about saying the level 5 hospitals, 15 ICU beds, and the additional 12 HDU beds, totaling 27, were full because of severe COVID patients, a number of reactions came in, and some of them are some doctors who've worked in Machakos County. One of them said those statistics are false. Machakos level 5 hospital has 5 ICU beds and 11 isolation beds. What do you respond to this?
Those are people who are not in Machakos. Let one of them go to Machakos right now with a video camera on live and wear PPEs and walk around and count the beds. So this minimalistic view of people just criticizing, they can go to hell for all they care. Because we are talking about lives here. We have revamped up. So they can go and count the beds and the people, the ventilators that are working right now, the HDU, the oxygen points, and they're there. And my doctors know that. My nurses know that. So we had 6 before COVID, and so we've been able to revamp up.
All right. Dr. Mutua, as we conclude the conversation this morning with you, pass on the message again to the country on what is happening in this third wave of COVID-19 and what we need to be preparing ourselves for.
There are 2 realities. The reality one is that it comes back to prevention. We need to go back to the protocols we had before. We need to mask up. You know, statistics have shown, or research has shown, if a society, 75% of a certain subculture masks up, then you flatten the curve. We also need to wash our hands and follow the protocols. If you look internationally, the main place for COVID transmission is bars, you know, places where people are drinking. You drink alcohol and you can have your fun, you can drink alcohol, but bars are a major problem all over the world, followed by gyms. You go to gyms, you're sweating, you're exhaling, you have COVID, it just remains there. The next person comes, you cannot sanitize enough if people have really expelled so much, you know, of the virus around that atmosphere. The third one is religious centers, you know, churches, mosques, religious meetings. You see what happened in South Korea, you know. The fourth ones are these public meetings and gatherings that are indoors. So we already know, science has told us exactly what to avoid. So we may need to go back to those protocols. It may hurt us, but for 3 weeks or 1 month, you can say, let's shut down A, B, C, D. Let's go back. Let's squeeze, and let's see how the curfew can be reworked in a way that people go home and stay home for about a month. We flatten the curve. We stop having more people coming to ICUs because my doctors are calling me all the time. They are worried because ICUs are full. People are calling them. Can we bring up patients? We need oxygen. We need all these things. And we're in a situation where you hear somebody has died from COVID, and basically you follow it up. It's because they couldn't get a ventilator. And that's just the reality because the beds are taken, and you cannot remove somebody who is alive to bring in somebody, say this one looks like, we don't want to go to what happened in, was it in the US or in Italy, where they had to decide whether, where they had to decide, in LA. In LA, we had to decide whether to take you to hospital or not, depending on whether you're going to survive or not. They think if you're going to die, they don't put you on a ventilator. They put somebody who looks like they're going to live. We don't want to get to that stage. Number two, and finally, is that this virus is killing men more than women all over the world, but especially in Africa and in Kenya. We talk to the hospitals all over the country. You find that 8 out of 10 of the patients in ICU are men. The mortality rate is higher on men. And it's not older men. It's men from the age of 30 going upwards. And this is because of social habits of men. If you have social scientists, they're talking about the meeting in bars. You're not feeling well, you're feeling feverish, your friends tell you, kuja to sanitize. Mpatie hii hapa, wacha sanitize. We've got that laissez-faire culture, and a lot of young men are dying. The women, for some reason, either have a high immunity, but I think women tend to be wiser and smarter than men when it comes to issues of health. They're taking care of themselves. They're not being reckless as men are. So it's something for us to be able to monitor and asking my fellow men. We have so much working against us. The pressures of society, provision, everything taking our families. Let's not go that way and go. And finally is this. People are saying, well, I'm young, I'm healthy, Mimi Sakwa ICU and all that. Yes, you may not end up in ICU. You may not end up being sick because you think you're young and healthy and robust and everything. But you may kill others. And that's what it comes down to. Yes, you're a carrier. You have COVID. You're hanging out in these clubs. You're not masking up. You're being macho. You're hanging out with your friends. You're throwing house parties. You're throwing birthday parties because, after all, you have to have a birthday party. Yes, you're killing others. You may not die yourself, but you're killing somebody's parent down the line. You're killing somebody's grandparent. You're killing somebody's father who is dying and leaving their daughter who you think you're a cool macho man you can date. You're killing others. You're a killer. By being reckless. So we need to also, for men, we need to man up and realize that we have a responsibility in making sure that our loved ones, whether we know them or we don't know them, actually stay alive and you're not transmitting this virus.
Dr. Alfred Mutua, asante sana for speaking to us. Dr. Alfred Mutua is the governor of Machakos County. Have a lovely day, sir.
Asante sana. God bless you.
Thank you.
87.9 SpiceFM, Mombasa. This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day. Spice up your life.
It's about a minute and a half to 8 o'clock. Keep it right here. We've heard from Dr. Alfred Mutua. We've heard from what he's saying, the experience in Machakos County, and what he's advising. Take care. It's all about personal decisions at this point. We continue the conversation on what's happening about COVID-19 in the country. And in the next hour, we bring in two more governors. This is going to be the governor of Laikipia County, Nderitu Mureithi, and the governor of Kiambu County, Dr. James Nyoro. These are two governors who, Governor Mureithi is the chair of the Finance Committee in the Council of Governors, and he'll be telling us what, in terms of even resources, are they discussing about allocating to this third wave of COVID-19. Governor Nyoro is the governor of a bedroom county of Nairobi. Many people who are looking for facilities in Nairobi are not getting in Nairobi. They are being transferred to facilities in Kiambu. Is Kiambu able to deal with what we are dealing with today in the country? This is a conversation that we're going to be having. Good morning. Keep it right here. We'd also like to hear what questions you want to ask to these two governors, Governor Nderitu Mureithi and Governor Dr. James Nyoro. What questions do you have for them? SpiceFM KE on Twitter. Post them there. Good morning. It's now 8 o'clock.
spice up your life. 102.5 Spice FM, Kisumu.
All right, so we are looking at heavy traffic on Thika Road coming out into the CBD. You need to be careful with this one, folks. At the Pangani Tunnel, it's actually quite jam-packed as you're trying to get out there towards Ngara, out then towards the Globe Cinema overpass. All right, if you're used to using the slipway between Waiaki Way and Chiromo, that has been closed. So if you didn't know that this morning, I'm very sorry. If you're headed in that direction, it's going to be a long turnaround for you. The slip road between Waiaki Way and Chiromo has been closed. That construction is going on, so you can't use that road. It means you having to turn around all the way. Okay, I'm sorry about that, but we did not know. Unfortunately, at the flyover at Delview going towards Thika from Keno, unfortunately there's an accident that has happened there. If you're headed in that direction, please be very careful. There's bodies on the road, so please be careful about that. That's headed towards Delview from going towards Thika from Kennel, so think about that as well. All right, the Lekoni interchange as you're trying to get to and away from Mombasa Road is jam-packed right now. That's traffic. It has built up quite some. All right, outbound at Nyayo Stadium towards the city centre, towards Westlands, slow it down a little bit. It has slowed down quite some, and there's some traffic there. SpiceFM KE, let us know what it looks like in your neck of the woods. We'll talk on text as well on 40127.
This is The Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Oko, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latif, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down. This is The Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
It is coming up to 3 minutes after 8. This is Kenya's biggest conversation, The Situation Room. In the room with you this morning is Ndu Oko and Eric Latif. C.T. Muga is well, he's away. He's handling some personal matters. Today's proverb, a wrong step by the leader, is a warning for those following. A wrong step by the leader is a warning for those following. We are speaking to some of our leaders this morning, and we want to understand the kind of steps that they've been making and taking. Do we need to be warned with what our leaders are doing? Do we need to be cautious of what the leaders are doing? Should we really be worried about what our leaders are doing or saying? This is the conversation that we'll be having. So we've heard from Governor Dr. Alfred Mutua of Machakos County, tweeted yesterday and said, look, guys, this is a situation. Our ICU and HDU facilities in Machakos County are full. We are not able to admit anybody into any of these two, ICU or HDU in Machakos County. And we've spoken to him and he said, this is because of the kind of situation that we are in. Despite the investment that has been put into the healthcare by the county government of Machakos, they've gotten to a point where, well, this is the best that they could do, and that's it, the end. The Council of Governors has been having conversations. They had a full council meeting the day before yesterday, like Dr. Alfred Mutua told us, and they were looking at what is happening in the country. What do we need to do? They had a meeting with the chair of the National Emergency Response Committee, the Cabinet Secretary for Health, Mutahi Kagwe, last week, and they were talking about what they need to do to make sure that they are ready. Among the messages that we saw coming out of the national government, imploring on the county governments to do, is please make sure that those isolation facilities are ready. Please make sure that you have ambulances that are capable of at least being deployed fast. Those are conversations that are being held between the two levels of government at this point in time. We saw the question that was asked by the Cabinet Secretary for Health.
Where did the money go?
We gave these guys 5 billion shillings last year. Where did that money go?
And where are the beds?
Where are the beds now? Those are the questions that
are being asked. They want to know because it is not clear where all of this money went, number one, and why are we in a position of crisis today if provision was made financially for these things to happen. Even if not to happen in its entirety, at least we should have gotten the ball rolling. And if that's the question that's coming from the Ministry of Health in terms of where did this all go, what work has been done, how much more than Kenyan citizens now who are running pillar to post to try and get some kind of help medically when it comes to COVID? The question needs to be answered.
It does need to be answered. Let's bring in the governors of Kiambu and Laikipia. This is Governor Derito Mureithi and Governor Dr. James Nyoro of Kiambu. I think one of you governors needs to mute your sound. Good. Now we're good to go. Habari za asubuhi, waheshimiwa.
Well, mzuri sana.
Governor Nyoro, Dr. Nyoro, asante sana for joining us for the first time on the show. Governor Derito Mureithi, good to see you again on this show.
Good morning. How are you?
Good morning. Very well.
How is Odu?
Ndu is good. How is Laikipia, sir?
Laikipia is fine. We haven't seen you in Nanyuki all this time that we've been talking.
You know, we had a conversation with Eric the other day, and I said, you know, this Laikipia, this place I want to go. I want to go to Nanyuki. And he said, there's an open invitation from the governor to come. Why have you not taken this invitation? So now that it's being said nationally, perhaps we need to take it up.
You better take it up. Now,
Kiambu, you don't need an invite. You just walk in 5 minutes, you are into Kiambu.
You see?
And in 10 minutes back to Nairobi. So that's why you don't need an invite.
Thank you, Dr. Nyoro. I like this conversation already.
And there are very many lovely places that you keep discovering every new day in Kiambu County. Some lovely waterfalls, some lovely places that you can just go scenic, take your family, enjoy, go back home.
Voila.
Yeah, very big tea farms. You know, just across here, Tigoni, and you come back refreshed.
You see?
Very good.
Sounds like a promo.
Absolutely, it does.
I thought, Eric, perhaps you would let us weigh in on the context.
Yes.
Because of this question you raised about 5 billion.
Yes.
And I hope you know, Eric and Odu, that the monthly spend by counties is somewhere in the neighborhood of 32 billion per month. So if you take the equitable share, which is 26 billion per month, and their own source revenue, which is 5-6 billion per month, you will see that we are about 32 per month. So if you and Senator Kagwe ask what we've done with 5 billion over 12 months, I mean, come on, guys. I mean, we are not comparing like for like. So we need to put it in context.
Yes.
We also need to accept the sad truth about virus. A third wave was expected. So if anybody is claiming that this is unexpected, I think they are not following science. Now, it's also true that this third wave seems more severe than the first wave, or if you like, surge, than the first one and the second one. And scientists are scrambling right now because this surge appears to be driven by a slightly different variant of the virus. And again, this is not new science. This is the way viruses behave. The virus mutates. As you deal with it, it's also dealing with you.
Yep.
So, for example, here in Nanyuki, one of the big things that has been going on is trying to see, because we had an incident where just slightly more than a dozen British soldiers who were in Nanyuki in their barracks seem to have, so we're trying to see, did the UK variant, seep its way into the general population?
Yep.
There are other efforts to see whether, and that's why you keep hearing about this genomics big word, because we have to sort of sequence the gene of the virus to understand if it is the same virus or it's a different variant. There's also the effort about is it also a South African variant, or is it in fact a third or fourth variant altogether?
Yeah.
So all those things are there, and I think that's the general context. I caught the tail end of your conversation with our colleague Mutua, and he is right. A lot of us have relaxed a little bit. I mean, I was in church on Sunday, and one of the things when I came out, actually, I had to call the Archbishop Muheria to say, look, I wonder if really we should do something, because the mass celebrant is handling the Holy Communion, by hand.
Right.
And I just wonder if that's not creating a risk to the whole congregation. So we have to keep innovating and looking at how to go back to very stringent following of. I'm not advocating we close the economy, but wearing of masks. The sort of thing we are doing now, using technology, you and ourselves, to do our work. We have to go back there, but we also have to realize that there's something to be said about the resources, and maybe we'll come back to that question. Let me yield to my colleague Nyoro, so that I'm not just hogging the time.
Yeah, sure. Dr. Nyoro, also the question for you, and looking at Kiambu as a dormitory county of Nairobi, for example, we've seen that a lot of people who are in need of care then have to come into Kiambu to get it. And we're talking about you don't have an ICU, having to now cross over to look for help in Kiambu. So then there's an extra burden, obviously, on your county. That is clear. Before we even go back to this 5 billion shillings and the issue of money and where it went, or where it should have gone, how then, and what's your messaging? Because it seems that everybody has a different message now in terms of what we are telling Kenyans about the burden of this virus and how it has come about in this third wave today. What is happening in Kiambu, and how are you working through these issues?
Well, thank you very much. As you probably know, we are the second most populous county after Nairobi. And as if that is not enough, we are just very close to Nairobi. So whenever there are good things happening in Nairobi, we enjoy them. Whenever there are bad things, of course, we suffer. Mm-hmm. And one of the things happening now is that as the hospitals are getting full in Nairobi, people are coming to seek treatment and even admission in Kiambu. I can tell you that a week ago, we had about 40 or so.
Oh, we lost him on the line. Let's bring you back, Governor Derito Muriithi, as we have this conversation so we can try and reconnect with Dr. James Nyoro. So, Governor Derito Muriithi, from just the numbers that we've seen coming out of Machakos County and the numbers that we see coming out of the other counties, and Governor Nyoro will tell us the kind of numbers that they're seeing in seeking healthcare in their facilities. What is the situation like in Laikipia?
Right now we have 9 patients on oxygen. We have none in ICU, although our ICU is very, very modest. We have a 10-bed ICU in the public hospital and a 3-bed ICU in private hands. So it's very, very modest. We can support 208 patients at any one time on oxygen. So we are not full, but clearly, as I've said, it is our facility is in any case modest, and we are a bit of a distance from the epicenter. Mm-hmm. I think that the thing, and we discussed this on Monday. The thing that we all need to see if we can ramp up is oxygen support, because what we have learned over the 12 months of this COVID is that. The need, it's not just the ventilator. Mm-hmm. In fact, the ventilator is towards the end of the process. A big portion of it is oxygen support.
Yep.
So investments into oxygen, and maybe I'm getting ahead of the conversation here, but yesterday we spent a couple of hours with the folks at Treasury looking at different pockets of money that are owed to counties. For example, there is some 4.6 billion of Kenya devolution support, and looking at how it can be disbursed under emergency conditions to support counties. Because remember, Eric, in terms of cash flow management, we are 3 to 4 months late. Just on Monday, we were able to clear some half a dozen counties to clear their November arrears, meaning that we had not disbursed money to them since November. So November, December, January, February, we are into the 5th month, and we have not gotten a coin to them. Then, no, that was Friday. Then on Monday, we were able to clear, to push, we didn't quite clear, some arrears for December. So it's a daily thing that our engagement Treasury, and just yesterday, we were looking at how we could get some 4.6 billion to counties in an emergency manner, following Article 223 of the Constitution, to allow counties to have a bit of flexibility, particularly in trying to increase oxygen capacity.
Right.
We are also saying, Eric, that it's not just piped oxygen. You know, in many, even at health center, you can actually provide oxygen, but you do it in cylinders and oxygen concentrator.
Yep.
And those are the areas of innovation and, if you will, rapid expansion that we can do. But going back to the overall question of how to persuade all of us, citizens, to do the right thing, because we have seems to have relaxed
on what we need to do.
And what we need to do, indeed.
We'll come back. We'll circle back on that question later on in the conversation, as we also come back to the money question on what needs to be done by whom. Let's bring in Dr. James Nyoro, who's back on the line. Paul Asano, we lost you. Dr. Nyoro, as you were just painting the picture for us of how Kiambu County is, just go back to that point that you were making.
Yeah, so what I was saying is that, of course we expected that the road would be heavier than most of the other counties. Some of us who are within the metropolis expected that there is going to be an increase, particularly from people flowing out of Nairobi. And one of the things that we did, honestly, even using monies beyond the so-called 5 billion, was to add bed capacity. And that was very necessary because initially, even if you can remember, our hospitals were congested because traditionally, and we are happy Nairobi has been able to open up several, level 3 and level 4 hospitals. Before that, we were getting patients from Nairobi coming to Kiambu. So we already had a problem at that point, and we came up with a strategy long before COVID that we need to expand our space. And therefore, we increased our bed capacity by about 1,000. You remember there was a time when every county was asked to expand by 300, so we expanded by 1,000. But coming back to what Governor Murithi is talking about, the medicine, and this we got right from the beginning. The real medicine for COVID is oxygen. And when everybody else was talking about ventilators and they were demonstrating how many ventilators that they had, what we did was to actually put bulk oxygen into our level 3, level 5 hospitals and 2 level 4 hospitals. And also, just like what Governor Murithi has said, provided oxygen on cylinders to level 2 and 3s. So the first thing that you want to do, and I can tell you from the first and second wave, I can tell you that we saved hundreds and hundreds of people because of bulk oxygen. And that is what we are seeing now. If we are saying that, if you have 70 patients, 50 of them need oxygen, then oxygen is dawa number one.
Yeah.
The second one is the medical personnel, because with those increased numbers, you need people like critical care nurses.
Yeah.
Yes, we can say that the ICUs are getting full, but they also, a lot of countries did not have the experience of running 30 or 40 ICU beds. Now we have about 32 ICU beds. We need very highly qualified staff because, the way this disease is going is when you come in, you probably be put at the oxygen. The number of oxygen you get, like for instance, in a plane. But going deeper, it gets more complicated up to the point where you are put on a ventilator. And that requires very specialized, personnel. And the question was, even for a county like Kiambu, do we have the specialized personnel? So we've been struggling, but what I can say is that it was also coming in, as Governor Muredi has said, who is the chair of finance. It was also coming in at a time when we were running low on resources.
Yeah.
And you require to buy additional non-farm, you require to buy additional farm, and all of that. So we are seeing now some response, but I can say that it requires a lot of concerted effort. In terms of treatment, preparedness, yes, we have some space, despite the fact that we are still close to Nairobi. Of course, I don't want to say this, but we are selective also on who we admit. Of course, we will not fail to admit a very, an emergency patient, but we are being very careful, otherwise we get overwhelmed.
Right.
But overall, I think we are saying that we need to move to the protocols. The protocols are what is going to save us.
Yeah, at this point.
The wearing of masks, the keeping of, these big meetings. If you go to the bars, they've gone back to normal. If you go to public transport, the matatus are carrying full.
Yes.
Bodabodas are carrying 3 people. We have to go back to the protocols because from the experience of phase 1 and phase 2, what saved us is when people got worried and they kept up and they avoided crowding and they avoided all of that. So the two must come together.
It looks like, it sounds like that is the message that's coming out, regardless of clearly the problems that we are having when it comes to finance and getting all these things in order. When it comes to finance, questions of beds and are there enough? Is there enough oxygen? Governor Derito, are we saying that is the message? Even while we are saying, all right, 47 governors need to go back and figure out how this is all supposed to work out in liaison with the national government. But then Kenyans, really, we're asking you, as we're in the kitchen sorting this out, we're asking that you take care of yourselves. Is that what we are saying to Kenyans right now?
That and more would do, because they remember that truly just about all counties did invest in the 300 isolation beds. And as you heard from my colleague, Governor Nyoro, some counties, in fact, invested a lot more. Kiambu, for instance, with 1,000 beds. So that's the expansion. But remember what we have learned. What have we learned about this virus? The isolation is okay, but they go back to this point of oxygen, and really that's where we are, or that's the big point we've learned, that for patients who exhibit very, very strong symptoms, it basically, because what is the virus doing? The virus is basically, if I can use a layman's sort of medicine here, the virus is collapsing your lungs. That's the layman way to think about it.
Yeah.
And that's why the support for oxygen is very, very important. But the general, if you have some general symptoms that are manageable in an isolation ward, that capacity is there. The issue we are talking about is the capacity to deal with oxygen. And remember, colleagues, the virus there is no real cure for a virus. The thing about virus is the speed or velocity of transmission. And I hope we all understand this, because otherwise the whole thing is a bit difficult to
right.
to digest. We will all, by the way, many of us probably have had COVID already. The speed of infection is what the problem is, because when the speed is very high, then the virus overwhelms the health system.
Yep.
So these things that we are asking the citizens to do are to reduce the velocity or the momentum of force of infection. Now, and that's very, very important, because once we understand that point, then we can see why. Now, you can ask, for instance, people have been saying, oh, remove this curfew, why are you? Look, when people are together over a long period of time in a room, you create very good conditions for the virus to spread.
Are you inadvertently, if I can interject, are you inadvertently saying that we need to shut things down to break the chain? Is that what you're saying right now, that we need to stop movement, inter-county movement, for example?
No, I have not said that, Odu. What I'm saying, I'm trying to explain, for example, why we have maintained curfew and said, okay, social places close at 10.
Yeah.
Or close at 9, actually, not 10, so that then people can get home by 10.
Right.
It is trying to reduce the amount of time that people are spending in a crowded space together. And the reason you're doing that is to again, lessen the conditions for the virus to spread. When we say that in church or in mosque, let us have 1/3 of the congregation, again, is an effort to reduce crowding, is an effort to reduce people, create the distance so that you are lessening the chance of spread.
Right.
So that's all I'm trying to explain. And if people understand that, then wearing of masks, maintaining social distance, avoid crowding, those are very basic, straightforward issues that are actually what the answer is to this
whole third wave. Let's take a break at this point.
And that is the message. Odu is asking, what is our message? That's our message. Avoid crowding, maintain social distance, and please, for heaven's sake, wear a mask.
Right.
Now, those things, all of us as citizens, we need to do those things.
And then we see what the government will do. Let's take a break, and then you'll come and tell us, what is the government going to do as we do all those things? 27 minutes after 8 o'clock, we're having a conversation with Governor Nderitu Mureithi and Governor James Nyoro. The Governor Nderitu Mureithi is the governor of Laikipia, and James Nyoro is, of course, governor of Kiambu County. COVID-19, the third wave, what is happening and what do we need to do? Time for a break on KTN Home, on SpiceFM, and online. We'll be back shortly.
Sugar and spice and everything nice, just the way you like it.
The Spice Drive.
Did you have a great day? I hope you did. I intend to make it better from 3 p.m. to 7 p.m. I'm going to be taking you home nice and chill. Everyone is welcome aboard. The hashtag is Spice Drive, and of course, SpiceFMKE on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter.
The Spice Drive with Monique. The official soundtrack of getting you where you need to be. 24/7, around the world, non-stop. This is Spice FM.
Sarit, your city, is inviting you for an Easter celebration like no other. Come over with your family and loved ones from the 2nd to the 5th of April and enjoy a special Easter-themed shopping experience with special mall deco, the Easter Village, Sana art display for the lovers of art. Enjoy unlimited live performances. Don't forget to check out the Easter Fair, where you can get great deals and offers. All this and more only at Sarit, your city. All COVID-19 protocols set by the Ministry of Health shall be observed.
Classic soul, R&B, smooth jazz, neo soul, and nostalgic ballads.
Make some noise. Yeah!
You're listening to Spice FM. The weather with Spice FM.
All right, it's mostly cloudy in Nairobi. It's at 19, however. It'll go to highs of 26 today. 25 will be the high in Nyeri, where it's raining at 15. It's sunny in Nakuru at 17, highs of 28 and lows of 11. Cloudy conditions in Eldoret at 14. It'll go to highs of 26 and lows of 12. 19 will be the low in Kisumu. It's mostly sunny now at 22, rising to highs of 30. 34 will be the high recorded in Kakamega today. Mostly sunny right now at 21. 28 and mostly sunny in Mombasa, highs of 33 and lows of 25. 26 will be the low in Malindi, where it's partly sunny now at 28, rising to highs of 32. It'll go to highs of 27 in Kampala today. Rain showers right now at 21. It's also raining in Dar es Salaam at 27. Highs of 32 and lows of 25. Cloudy conditions in Johannesburg at 14. Highs of 19 and lows of 13. It's mostly clear for a change in Lagos this morning at 22. It'll go to highs of 31 and lows of 26. While Kinshasa experiencing rain this morning at 23. That'll be the low for today, going to highs of 30.
Spice up your life. Traffic.
Traffic on Thika Road has eased up, and folks are asking what's the problem. This is a good thing, guys. Traffic is reduced so you can get where you're going a lot quicker. That's a good thing, all right? Let's try and remember that. Where it's not flowing so smoothly is Mombasa Road, heading out towards the Nyeri Stadium roundabout. It's going to slow down a little bit, especially where you have the construction going on at the interchange and further down as you get towards the Nyeri Stadium roundabout. Construction slows things down some. As you try to get into the city, then from the Nyeri Stadium roundabout, also slows down a little bit. Coming off from Gong Road, Safi Sana, very clear. Also on Langata Road, as you get to the T-Mall roundabout and then on towards Nyeri Stadium, it's looking pretty good, guys. So not much in terms of traffic there. Let's know if it does get worse or you see something that we should know about. Headed towards Thika, be careful. That accident is yet to be cleared and there's a body in the road, so please approach with caution, all right? Tell us what it looks like in your neck of the woods. SpiceFM KE on Twitter. Text on 40127.
Spice FM. Spice up your life. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4.
It's 8:30. This is Kenya's biggest conversation, The Situation Room, broadcasting on Spice FM, on KTN Home and live streaming online. With you in the room is Nduoko and Eric Latif. Joining us on the line are the governors of Kiambu County and Laikipia County, Governor Dr. James Nyoro and Nderitu Mureithi, respectively. Governors, as we were going to the break, you talked about what we as the people can do. Ask now what your government shall do.
Well, let me get.
No wonder, Eric, it says in the promo, Asian provocateur. Governor Nyoro, proceed.
Okay. I think, like we've said, what the counties are doing and what we should continue to do is first and foremost to continue to be prepared. I think we all know, and I think for people like Governor Mureithi, probably that wave has not really penetrated deeper into the rural areas. We are suffering just like we saw in the first wave. Nairobi suffered first, and then of course it was transferred to the rural areas. I think one of the things really that we need to do as governors, as counties, is to continue to prepare. And we prepare in many ways, where we can be able to identify more hospital bed facilities. I think we need to do that because that is going to be expected. Even like for us, even with 1,000 beds, we are starting to think about where we can get another 200 or so. But more importantly, and this is very important, if you have 50 people who are on oxygen and they are being provided oxygen through the bulk tank, what would happen if the bulk tank runs out of oxygen? Or the
Yep.
And this is where it becomes very, 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 very precarious. So we have to be able to ensure that the reordering levels is such that it is probably at 60%. If you run down the bulk tank at 60%, you have to reorder. No, we are assuming that BOC and other companies that are making oxygen available will be able to cope with that demand, because you can see the kind of disaster that would happen if that is not there.
Yep.
So increasingly, we have to have our people dedicated, and obviously better managed so that they are not overwhelmed.
How can we get away, though, from this preparation on the go? because it looks like that's what we are doing right now. It's like, you're having 12 guests coming over. You prepare for one guest, and then when the second guest arrives, you send somebody to go buy tomatoes and onions, and then we start cooking while the second guest is on the way. How can we get away from this preparation on the go and actually have things ready in advance?
No, not really, and I'm not very good at cooking for guests and all of that. But it's not it's not that that's not the case, because from the experience, the first wave was not as bad as the second wave. And to be honest with you, this is a very mysterious virus. Nobody ever anticipated that in the third week or so of the third wave, all the hospital beds in Nairobi would be taken. I mean, we knew that it would happen, but not to the magnitude that this thing is happening. I think I know we all need to plan for the worst so that we can experience the better. But, like what my colleague was talking about is that we have also been suffering from some of these financial inflows.
Sure.
And remember, when we talk about reordering oxygen at 60%, you have to have money.
Yep.
BOC is not going to give you free oxygen just because you have 50 patients who are, on oxygen. So you have to have money. So I think the plans are there. You remember when we talked about 300 beds. We thought 300 beds are a lot of beds. And now we are saying that even at 1,000 beds, that's not enough. So I would say that treating this virus is like shooting a moving target. Every time you aim at it, it moves. But we have to be able to respond. We have to ensure that we have enough ambulances that are located at strategic places, which is what some of us are doing. You also have to ensure that you have enough farm and non-farm so that you don't get medical personnel saying they are going without PPEs and all of that. But more importantly is what we started off with, which is what are we going to do in order to reduce the numbers?
Sure.
And that is all of us. You talk about this curfew, and you can try today. You'll probably be lucky. You can travel from Kiambu to Gong between 10 and 12, and nobody will arrest you. Nobody will stop you. So the curfew may be there in theory. It is not there in practice.
In practice, it's not there.
Therefore, what is happening is that bars, instead of closing at 9, they are closing at 10. So we are saying that there's a lot of concerted effort that needs to be done, even within the existing protocol, in order to reduce the numbers. But once we have the numbers, we should be prepared for the numbers.
You make it sound like it's somebody else's job, Governor, but also you have a role to play. Even if we talk about enforcement alone, in the enforcement of things, you have a conversation with the county commissioner, you have a conversation with the county police bosses. What are you doing to ensure that in Kiambu County, all these measures are being enforced and being adhered to?
Well, as you probably know, when we had the meeting with the president, when he announced the new protocols, we established the intergovernmental forum that is co-chaired by the governor and the county commissioner. We've already set up that. We've set up certain conditions that are going to be met. But at the end of the day, you will probably even hear the police commander or the police themselves complaining about this and that. All we are saying is, yes, we have the responsibility of preparedness, which is what 100% I'm responsible for. Security is not devolved, so we can only come together and agree, like we have agreed on a protocol with the county commissioner and the county commander, that this is going to be done. If it is done in Kiambu, I'm not so sure how it will be done in Nairobi, because people are flowing from Nairobi from Kiambu to Nairobi. So it will all require concerted effort, and that is why we've never had this intergovernmental relations and collaboration that we are having right now. It's a test, but all of it all amounts to we have to ensure that we don't drop our guard.
Governor Dorito, I must say it doesn't do very much for public confidence when you tell us that we should be looking for. We're trying to get resources in place to get some of these things done when arrears for November are just being cleared less than a week ago. it doesn't do much. So now we are saying, okay, so we're talking about preparedness today, and we're looking at county bills that have not been sorted out for the last 5 months. So what are we talking about here? Are we ever going to get to the place where things are running the way in which they should be running? We're able to, even if it's do a little bit here, there, the other place, but maintain some kind of equilibrium when it comes to operations. And now you throw in a pandemic into all of that. How on earth are we able to get to the place where money flows in the way it's supposed to flow? Things get done in the way they're supposed to be done. Because you look a bit worried. I must be honest. You look a bit worried if November arrears are being cleared in March, and then you got to ask yourself, how are we going to get there?
I am worried, Udu. I am worried, and I have I'm sitting on the hot seat as chair of finance for the COG. So it's my responsibility to engage our colleagues at the National Treasury on a regular basis to unlock some of the things that are delayed. Truth of the matter is that we have struggled with cash flow. Now, of course, I hope you realize, Udu, that it's a sort of a negative spiral, if that is English. So because when we closed the economy, it meant that we are collecting less tax, which means we have less resources to fight the pandemic. But we have to close the economy in order to fight the pandemic. So it's a bit of a downward spiral. Having said that, there are opportunities, and we continue to engage our colleagues at the Treasury. There are opportunities for them to do the correct thing. Now, it is not true. We cannot really say that there is no money. I mean, it's an issue of prioritization that we believe the National Treasury can improve on targeting what really are the priority expenditure, and what can we be able to postpone as we deal with these things. As I just said, yesterday we had a very useful conversation about a pocket of some resources that have been basically held up because of because of legal hurdles. What I mentioned, the 4.6 billion of the Kenya Devolution Support Program. We have some other little pocket of money, like 600 million to fight desert lock. Pockets of money that are held up because of some legalese or some administrative hurdle. And we engaging with the team, we could see that we can make progress very quickly on those. And as I said, additional refocusing of resources. Now, national government has, of course, a variety of priorities that you can see. For instance, you can see the effort to complete a whole bunch of infrastructure projects, and that's fine, except that if it is putting the strain on the cash flow, then it cannot be said to be fine. So there is room to improve on prioritization, and that is what we need to continue to engage. This issue of resources for devolution is an ongoing debate that sometimes makes us believe that there may be officials who are not very friendly to devolution. Because, you see, frankly, Eric and Udu, I don't recall the last time the national government was late in paying its workers. Meaning, by the 24th, 23rd of every month, they know they have payroll costs to meet. Well, counties are 3 months behind. They have to make certain local arrangements to look for ways to pay. Who are we paying? The same frontline workers that we are expecting to be fighting COVID.
Right.
Yeah, so there is some space for improvement in the way we are managing the cash flow nationally. And it is not just to criticize our colleagues, that really, those are the facts.
Those are open and plain facts. And I think sometimes we approach this matter with some kid gloves, Governor Derito. Maybe it's about time we said, let's have an open and serious conversation about how we are managing my finances and prioritization of projects, like you said. So there's this clamor to finish some infrastructure projects before the term is over. But at the same time, counties are starved of cash. So where are are those the right priorities? And is that a proper balance?
In fact, there are very straightforward solutions. They would involve the central bank if the central bank was minded. Look, the County Allocation of Revenue Act has a disbursement schedule that points out how much will be sent to Kiambu in February, how much will be sent to Laikipia in February, how much will be sent to Kajiado in February, how much will be sent to Mandera in February. My view is that the way the central bank ought to interpret this law, they do not require an administrative action by an official of treasury in order to disburse money.
Right.
And central bank maintains an overdraft for the for the national. So it should actually be a very simple thing that if Patrick, the governor of central bank were to interpret the law in a forward manner, they would simply disburse and maintain a 26 billion facility for national government, where they disburse from on the 23rd or 24th of every month, because the law already exists. And the law contains a specific disbursement schedule. Now, the problem we have, all of us, is this very conservative interpretation of law, the need to create administrative administrative steps, where we use those administrative steps to defeat the spirit of the Constitution and the spirit of the law. I believe myself that it is possible, and it is possible because the mechanism or the banker for all of us is central bank, and what that banker should do is simply maintain an overdraft facility for the national government at about 30 billion, and be able then to disburse from that as the time comes. But this we need to continue to persuade ourselves to interpret the Constitution in a liberal and forward-looking manner, not in a conservative manner, and seeking to hoard administrative power because you are the one to sign to say whether the money is going to go to Kiambu or is going to go to Mombasa, and you want to be left with that power. It's not necessary.
Hopefully we shall cross over to Canaan and those things will be able to happen when we get there. In the meantime, both governors, we're talking about, so for example, Governor Nyoro, you've told us what you and your government are trying to do in terms of looking at this third wave. What needs to happen now? You're thinking about increasing the bed capacity, looking at oxygen and how you buy the bulk oxygen, how you place ambulances here and there. That requires coordination with your neighboring counties as well. And this is where the issue of that coordination from county to county and national government comes in. Are you having those conversations, for example, with your neighboring Governor Mwangi wa Iria of Murang'a, the Deputy Governor of Nairobi, the Governor of Kajiado County, the Governor of Machakos? Are you having those conversations?
Well, not directly, which is something that we need to have. You remember at the beginning there was the issue of creating the metropolis counties to work together.
Yeah.
But that did not take place. But that is happening through the coordination of the Ministry of Health. I think for us as COG, we'll probably need to come together as a caucus and ask ourselves how we'll be able to look at that, not just for COVID, but even issues such as transportation, BRT, and all those other issues that affect all of us. But through the Ministry of Health, we've been having consultations, particularly in terms of what they will need to do, because they cannot continue to put resources in Nairobi without realizing that this will spill over to our counties. For instance, as Governor Moevi was talking about, we are already requesting for support to increase the bed capacity. We are requesting for support for additional oxygen and oxygen supplies, so that we do not turn away patients coming from Nairobi to Kiambu, Kajiado, or Machakos. So that can only happen because what we are talking about are patients that may not necessarily be from Kiambu, and therefore we need to be supported in a way that we can extend that support to those patients. But I think overall, we need to rethink the whole idea of the Nairobi Metropolitan, authority or whatever it is that brings together the counties that are, around us. If you go back to that old story that you started off with of the 5 billion, when it was being allocated, it was not allocated according to proximity or the epicenter of the problem, which would be Nairobi and Mombasa. It was allocated depending on the population. And therefore, there are certain externalities that we as a county are suffering because of factors that are beyond our control. So I think that coordination may probably come in. But I think what we need to do now, and I agree with my colleague, Governor Muridi, that National Treasury need to respond and respond quickly because it's life or death. But on our part as the counties, we also need to prioritize and make sure that whatever small resources that are available, we can be able to enhance on the treatment and the care. But overall, a lot of the observation of the protocols will probably go beyond boundaries, and that is where we as a nation, like for instance now, we will be having Easter break. What are we saying? Are we telling people to go to Kisumu
to
and
travel,
Mutua, and come back on Easter Monday when they have spread, the virus to the rural areas? So there are certain national interventions that will trickle down and improve the efficiency of the counties themselves.
Okay. Vaccines are in the country now, and I guess for both of you. So now this is something that the conversation is big, in as much as we're dealing with people who are sick at the moment across the country. We're also looking at this first defense when it comes to protecting from COVID. Vaccine rollout happening now. What are your thoughts in terms of what needs to happen? Are we sticking to frontline in your county, or are you saying it's time to let everybody come out and get this? And have you seen the activity of vaccinations rolling out for both of you?
With the exception
okay, go on.
With the exception, I think either yesterday or the day before, when we had quite a number, I think a number of 8,000 was reported medics who got vaccinated. The reality is that the uptake has been slow, and we are quite worried that the medics and health workers have been a bit anxious about this vaccine. We know, of course, it's partly because when some European nations withdrew and said, there were these side effects, that conversation did not go very well. Fortunately, even those European countries have since their own health organizations have since cleared this vaccine. So we hope to see a bigger uptick. And remember, Udu, that the vaccine itself has a shelf life. So it's not as though you can keep it forever.
Forever, exactly.
Yeah, so it would be really sad if the current batch were to begin to expire before we have vaccinated people. So on Monday, one of the conversations we are having with Dr. Amos and the other colleagues in the Ministry of Health is whether we should now collapse phase 2 into phase 1. We had said we just start with the front line, but now maybe it's better we bring some of the phase 2 people into phase 1.
That's true.
Like the elderly and the vulnerable. So that we don't get caught out.
Absolutely.
So personally, I advocate opening, but because the vaccine we only had like 1 million doses, you have to open in a certain manner, so that maybe we start with the most vulnerable, particularly the elderly and people who may have underlying conditions, and then move broader to the general population. On the question of coordination among us, I agree. I think that there is an opportunity for improvement there. I hope you also, of course, realize we run what we call a referral system. So, for instance, at Nanyuki, 30, 40 kilometers into Meru, that whole territory uses Nanyuki Hospital. 20, 30 kilometers into Nyeri they will use Nanyuki Hospital, because the hospitals don't work by way of administrative boundary.
Yeah.
They work by sort of logic of geography.
Coverage, proximity to, yes.
Yeah, exactly. But I agree with what both you and Dr. Nyoro have said. I think there is a space for improvement there. Yeah.
Dr. Nyoro, tell us about vaccine rollout in Kiambu as we conclude.
Yes, well, I think it's the same. We saw some apathy, particularly from the front-end medical staff. And like Governor Muriithi has said, this came at the wrong time. I mean, personally, I took the vaccine, and the following day, Italy stopped, and I don't know, Austria and Germany, and I was asking, what did they know that I did not know? And it is very sad when you see the front health care workers declining to take the vaccine. So you would imagine what would happen to a common mwananchi, because they are thinking that these are the people who have gone to school. They understand what the vaccine is. They are the ones who have been vaccinating us against polio. And now here they are, and they are turning it down. So I think for me, I agree with Governor Muriithi that maybe we may want to change phase one, and be careful, because again, this is Kenya, and you know what has been happening even yesterday in the papers, that some people are selling the jab. So we need to enter into a very clear protocol of saying, let's now go to those with pre-existing conditions, to the elderly, and probably through that, some of the front healthcare workers will realize that others are getting it and they'll come on board. But others, we cannot continue at this pace. And I know that, for instance, in Kiambu, there are so many people who are calling me, asking me if they can be vaccinated. And I'm telling them no, because we are waiting for the front healthcare workers to take it. So I think this is a decision that, and you remember also, there was a bit of discussion on whether governors should be vaccinated or not. And quite a number of people are saying that they shouldn't, and others were saying, be it from the front. Let the people see you being vaccinated, and then others will follow. I don't know whether when we were vaccinated, whether others followed. But all I'm saying is that we need to review some of these arrangements because of circumstances that come in that may not be anticipated.
Sure.
Governors, we want to thank you very much for joining us this morning and for the insights that you've shared with us. Governor Nderitu Muriithi of Laikipia and Governor James Nyoro of Kiambu, asanteni sana, and we'll hope to have you again soon.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, and have a great day.
Asante. You too.
Okay. Bye-bye.
This is Kenya's biggest conversation, The Situation Room. The conversation continues in the next hour. If you're on KTN Home, we'd like you to switch over to SpiceFM 94.4 in Nairobi, Mombasa 87.9, Kisumu 102.5, Nakuru 96.0, Eldoret 96.7, Nyeri is 90.9, and Malindi 97.7. Good morning.
Sugar and spice and everything nice, just the way you like it.
The Spice Drive.
Did you have a great day? I hope you did. I intend to make it better from 3 p.m. to 7 p.m. I'm going to be taking you home nice and chill. Everyone is welcome aboard. The hashtag is Spice Drive, and of course, SpiceFM KE on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter.
The Spice Drive with Monique. The official soundtrack of getting you where you need to be. This is The Situation Room. The only way to start your day. Spice up your life.
Right, so 2 minutes to the top of the hour. And you've heard from the two governors, Kiambu and Laikipia. And no, we've heard from three governors this morning, Machakos, Kiambu, and Laikipia. One issue here is clear, that the matter of finances and being able to then have the money to do what needs to be done is a glaring gap.
Sure.
The other one is that entire coordination by all governments. So this is the time when we are forming that intergovernmental team that will address COVID-19 a year down the road. We can say, okay, we're picking this from the learnings of what has happened. But at the same time, we're also talking about this is the time when we're saying, can we have a conversation amongst ourselves as counties as well?
Can we speak with one voice? Can we plan together? Can we make sure that this thing is being rolled out countrywide, whether it's care and preparedness of COVID-19, whether it's vaccination, inoculation, rollout, whatever it is, can we speak with one voice? As opposed to saying, in my county, I have done 1, 2, 3, I don't know what the rest of these folks are doing. It just looks like disjointed in terms of working things out. But I must say that I am encouraged that the possibility of that conversation is being discussed and to say that we can actually come together and see how we can work on this thing. Whether there's going to be some nudging in the direction of national government, coming as a solid voice from county government, then it needs to happen. Discouraging, though, that if the bills on a regular basis, very difficult to get those paid. Where are you now when you come to disaster preparedness, for example?
How do you expect
How
to
do you
get
expect them
to
to get
have-
it done? How? So then where we are shouting and saying county governments need to do something, but they don't have money from November.
So in the next hour, we want to hear from you. 0719-012-600. You've heard from the governors. What is it that you think? Are you on your own? What does the government need to do? What do we need to do? This is Kenya's biggest conversation. Good morning. It's now 9 o'clock.
Spice up your life. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
Okay, so let's look at one trouble spot this morning.
Traffic.
The slip road between Chiromo and, Wayaki Way and Chiromo, that has been closed. So if you're headed in that direction, you can't use that. You have to go all the way around. So it's causing some traffic because people are stopping and figuring out what to do. Just keep going and turn around. That's what's causing traffic now, as people are stuck because they don't know what to do. Keep going, guys, and keep it moving. That one is not going to be open for some time as they continue with that construction. Thika Road, there's no traffic this morning. Enjoy it while it lasts, guys. It may not be that way tomorrow, so take the opportunity today. Mombasa Road, Likoni Interchange, joining from the Southern Bypass. That is very slow right now. And we have Mombasa Road through to the Nyeri Stadium, also slow. Enterprise Road is your option today, going round using that option. All right? Okay, so that's what it looks like now. Let's take a look in half an hour and see how things may have changed. SpiceFM KE on Twitter. That's how you can get in touch, or text on 40127.
This is the Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Oko, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latif, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down. This is the Situation Room, the only way to start.
Good morning. This is Kenya's biggest conversation into the fourth hour of the show. In the room with you this morning is Eric Latif and Ndu Oko. Today's proverb: a wrong step by the leader is a warning for those following. A wrong step by the leader is a warning for those following. So the conversation we are having, and this is where we are asking ourselves, are our leaders taking us in the right direction? Are they taking us in the right steps? Or is there a wrong step somewhere? What should the counties do? What should the national government do to address this third wave of COVID-19? 0719-012-600 and SpiceFM KE, Twitter, Facebook and Instagram. Karaoke in Nakuru, good morning.
Good morning to you guys. How are you?
Good morning. Fine, thank you.
I want to ask you a question. The two of you.
Yes.
These two governors have been telling us on how they handle the issue of coronavirus.
Yep.
I can't see the reason as why you don't give the people a chance to ask them questions, because the question now I was having, I cannot ask the two of you. I could have asked them. Why don't you give us a chance to ask them questions? Because my question involves Wanjiko, those people who are unable to afford. They have talked about oxygen, people in oxygen, others, are in ICU. So the question is, how is a person able to afford, leave alone ICU, oxygen, if we cannot be able to even to afford a transport of 20 shillings? That's the question I wanted to ask them, so that we can hear how they handle that. But now you have refused us to ask them questions.
So let me ask you,
How will
Karaoke.
you answer that?
Let me ask you, Karaoke. Do you know somebody who's gone to hospital? What's the bill that they are paying? Somebody who's gone to a public facility and admitted for COVID-19.
Let me tell you something. We have patients who have taken to our medical facilities here in Nakuru.
Okay.
And we took one of our patients there, but finally the doctors told us, you ought to pay for oxygen and so on and so on. So what can we do?
What was the bill
That's the
coming
question
to?
I wanted to ask you then.
What was the bill
Because that
coming?
is the difficult. Yeah?
What was the bill coming to?
Around more than 200,000 shillings, something like that. We are unable to do it. We came back with our patient. What could we do? That's the question I wanted to ask the two governors. What they do to Wanjiko who cannot afford that? That's what I wanted to ask.
Pertinent question. Asante sana. I think we'll they are still on the line listening, and we'll forward the questions also to the Council of Governors to hear this, what the answer will be. Asante sana, Karaoke.
Thank you.
So yeah, that's actually a question about affordability. So we know that even in any ordinary circumstance, public hospitals are not free. So you'll go there, you will pay a bill. Either NHIF, if you are a member of NHIF, a contributing member of NHIF, it'll pay. If you have any private insurance, it'll pay. If you don't have any of those, you'll still end up coughing out some money. So in the matter of COVID-19 and treating COVID-19 at this time, are all county governors doing the same? There are some county governors who initially were saying, come to the isolation center, go home. And then it started talking about now bills.
Well, and I think this conversation then about healthcare and the affordability of the same is not just the COVID-19 issue. It's something that was in the limelight even before this, and this is what kind of gave birth to this whole thing about universal care and coverage. And then you rope in institutions like the NHIF and things like that. So the affordability of healthcare has always been an issue in this country, and even after the threat of COVID looming so heavily has passed, it is going to be something that has to be dealt with. Because right now, today, even if you say there's oxygen available, there is an ICU bed, there's this, that, the other thing, it costs an arm and a leg to get. So for true, Karaoke, as he's saying, the person who cannot afford 20 shillings for transport, there's no way they're going to be able to afford the very least right now is a 200,000 shillings deposit for an ICU bed, as an example. So what are we doing? What is the country doing at this point? What is government doing? What are all the interested stakeholders doing in making sure that health facilities and health coverage itself is available to everybody at a price that they, number one, can afford? Now, affording means at the point where you're going to get it, you have either put in enough to make sure you have it, whether it's the 20 shillings that we're talking about per day that you can pay for NHIF. But getting all those ducks in a row is absolutely important. We hear health workers crying about it every day. Can we get to a point where I don't have to make the difficult decision of sending somebody away from hospital because they cannot pay their bill? So it's not just the COVID matter, what Karaoke is talking about, but the affordability of health across the country has been an issue. And it's something that must be dealt with, not yesterday, not tomorrow. It's something that has to be looked at today, even while we're going through the throes of COVID. And it's a big deal. It's a big issue that has to be dealt with. Has to be.
We're in that position where we're talking about all these things that require money. And clearly, there's a shortage of that particular commodity called money. There's also then clearly a shortage of ideas on how we can circumvent the current challenges, because that's where we are. Even as we talk about the 5 billion shillings, and I'm glad the way Governor Nderitu Muriithi actually said, so the national government is saying we gave them 5 billion shillings. Boss, we are supposed to be receiving about 20 or so billion shillings in the counties every month. Every month, 20 billion shillings should be coming. You're saying that you disbursed 5 billion shillings a year ago. What's that?
It means nothing.
What's that? It's really a drop in the ocean. If you talk about, increase the ICU bed capacity. You've increased the ICU bed capacity. Are you able to have the necessary expertise to man those facilities? You're talking about oxygen, just like Governor Nyeri is saying. So if you have bulk oxygen supplying a facility, you have got to think of how to keep replenishing it.
Mm-hmm.
How are you replenishing this oxygen? Where are you getting it from? These are questions that, the governors are dealing with, but that's not our problem. That's their problem. We give them the job.
Yeah,
we want
exactly.
answers, you know.
You need to figure it out. And then, that's what I'm saying. I hear some frustration in their voices when it comes to then what needs to be done. But then they don't have the muscle or the wherewithal to do this because, whether there are power games being played at the institutions that need to release this or whatever the case may be. But then that's where that concerted effort needs to then come about, if you ask me. That everybody realizes that this is the challenge that we are facing at this point and say, guys, we need to get together and speak as one voice. It can't be that we're working in competition with one another. Because guess what? One county is not doing what it's supposed to do. One county is not giving out those results. It's like it's the whole story of one apple spoils the entire bunch.
Yep.
All the counties are not working. That's what people are seeing and that's what people are hearing. All the counties have issues. None of the counties is prepared. It doesn't matter if you have a stellar record and you've done everything that you're supposed to do. Everybody is misperforming. Can there be concerted effort where everybody is speaking in the same voice and saying, this is the problem. Central Bank is not releasing. Treasury is not releasing funds. We can't even pay our workers on time. How do you want us to fight COVID? What do you want us to do? When these things are capital intensive, we don't have the money. What are we supposed to do? And on a certain level, you can understand that, Eric.
Yeah.
You can hear that message loud and clear. What do we do?
Zachary in Nakuru, good morning.
Oh, good morning, guys.
Good morning.
Hi.
Me, I'm fine, and I'm also hoping that everyone there is fine. And we are missing some people there.
Yes, sir.
I don't know why.
We are fine.
You don't know why you're missing them.
Japonj is busy Japonging.
Is he coming back, or we are to be told that he is no longer with us and that somebody loved him most?
Hey, boss.
Hey. Yeah,
I hope he is coming back.
Tema yo mate.
No, not that he is going to go to the other world there. I hope he is coming back.
To the show? Yes. He hasn't been poached. Very good.
Otherwise, me, I'm fine, and I have listened to my governor there back in Kiabu. He is a good guy, and he tries now. But what I'm going to say is this, the burden of COVID-19 lies in every one of us, and especially you guys, you in the radio. You must actually, every time after every second, you will say that COVID is here, and let us take it seriously, especially the common people. And I tell you, once, Mr. Eric, for me to get a shilling, I really do some bit of traveling, and I sometimes use the matatus, Let me tell you, people are, I don't know, the indifference that we kind of find in the common people is worrying. Because, you know why? Like yesterday, I had to take, 5 minutes to explain to people, open these windows.
Let
because
it in,
we are being told, we are being told. I ask them, why are you not listening to radio? And everyone, okay, you may not have a TV, but you have radio, which speaks in your mother tongue. Are you not hearing that we are being told, stay in an airy place? And I was being looked like as if I've come with some very funny news from Mars, You go to supermarkets and also the retail shops, the taps that used to be there, they are no longer there. So, and let me tell these people, everyone, when you get sick, especially here in Kenya, you are on your own. The next thing you do is, like me, if I suspect that I have it, I will just ask for a full cup and then write a small wheel and say, okay, I'm going there, I join Jesus and Gabriel, and we are hoping that you are coming, because you are going to die. No one has money these days. Therefore, the best thing is to try to secure yourself. Try your best,
Zachary.
Yes.
From the three governors that we had a conversation with this morning, Governor Alfred Mutua was clear that he'd like to see the reintroduction of a lockdown. Governor Mureithi is saying, no, let's not lock down, but let's enforce what we have.
Okay.
Governor Nyoro is going towards a lockdown. Where do you lie? Should we have another lockdown or not?
I'm not for a lockdown, Mr. Eric. But what we can do is we enforce. The guy who said that, let us enforce. Because today, I'm very sure, now the COVID has come closer to us because each and every one of us can put a face on somebody who has suffered COVID and they have died.
Yep.
And let the truth be told. See Mr. Magufuli, is it? Magufuli died of COVID. Okay? Do we need to and we know how he received the news and how he behaved and the way he talked about COVID, yeah? But then look, that's a very good example that is next to us, yeah? Therefore, what else do we need? If we observed social distance, we minimize our travels, we observe these very basic rules that we are being told. We do not need a lockdown because even if you are talking of a lockdown, Mr. Eric, I would rather.
So now that we are not observing,
you are the ones who are not observing.
Now that you're saying that if we observe, if we do this, if we do the other, no need for a lockdown. Now that we are not observing, we are not wearing masks, we are not maintaining social distance, so then we should have a lockdown in place.
Let me tell you this, Mr. Yeah?
Yes.
You know there was a time when we had 1%, 1%
positivity rate.
That time I had to be asked so many questions. You why are you wearing a mask? You are boring us, you know. And I told them, please, can you continue wearing your mask? Don't hug, okay? Don't hug. Don't attend these funerals. Today, I don't know whose funeral I would attend. It's only, I think my mother wakes up again and I'm forced to go to the funeral. I will go. I don't know whose political gathering I would attend. I don't know. And I won't. Because I know that do not go to places where there are more than that people. Is that hard, Mr. Eric?
It's not hard. It's not hard.
Is that hard?
It's not hard.
It's not hard, Zachary.
So it is upon us, okay? We do not need to have another lockdown because I was
personal
asking
responsibility.
You, today, if you tell me, Zachary stay in the house and you do not have food for Nigeria and even for yourself, I would rather be outside, okay?
You will go
because
out.
Because all of us are broke. Everyone is broke. The government is broke, okay?
That's true. Zachary, thank you very much for your call this morning.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Zachary.
Sana, 17 minutes after 9, and that's the question we were asking. Do you advocate for another round of lockdown? Strict non-movement measures. Do you advocate for that? Or would you say, just let us leave? We'll ride the wave. Good morning.
Classic soul, R&B, smooth jazz, neo soul, and nostalgic ballads.
Make some noise. Yeah.
You're listening to Spice FM.
Have you seen them? Am I lying?
Yes, it's a very nice outfit, I must say. Good
Thank
job.
you.
Asante sana.
The compliment is well received.
Good morning and thank you. Evan Nosingishi was asking me what channel is Spice FM.
96.7. Tell them that, right?
Yes, now they know.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
Pleasure to have
What
you.
a beautiful studio, my friend.
I've been to other radio stations, but I've never seen anything like this.
Thank you, and it's very nice to be in a modern studio. Absolutely brilliant.
And I have to say, it's very...
The weather with Spice
All right,
FM.
in Nairobi today, we will see light rain in some parts. The sun is peeking through. However, highs of 26 and lows of 16. Mostly sunny conditions in Nyeri at 17. Highs of 25, lows of 11. 11 will also be the low in Nakuru. It's sunny at 18. It'll go to highs of 28. 26 will be the high in Eldoret today. It's mostly cloudy right now at 17 degrees. Lows of 12. Lows of 19 in Kisumu. Mostly cloudy right now at 25. Highs of 30. Highs of 34 in Kakamega. It's mostly sunny at 27. 26. It'll come down to lows of 15. Mostly sunny conditions in Mombasa, 29, highs of 33 and lows of 25. Mostly sunny in Malindi at 30, highs of 32 and lows of 26. Mostly sunny as well in Kampala, 23. Mostly highs of 27 and lows of 18. It's raining in Dar es Salaam at 28, highs of 32 and lows of 25. It's cloudy in Johannesburg now at 14, highs of 19 and lows of 13. We're looking at mostly sunny conditions in Lagos. Highs of 31 and lows of 26, and it continues to rain in Kinshasa at 23, highs of 30 and lows of 23. It's sunny in Beijing and quite warm. We'll see highs of 20 today and lows of 5, 17 at the high in Paris. Today it's sunny at 2 and 5 degrees in London, hazy, 12 degrees the high and lows of 4, and in New York it's clear into Wednesday morning at 9 degrees, highs of 11 and lows of 10.
Chilled Spice. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
Order another lockdown to contain this rising wave of COVID-19. Should the president order another lockdown to contain the rising wave of COVID-19? And by lockdown, now this time we mean not just saying at you, people don't get out of the Nairobi metropolitan. No, stay indoors.
Stay indoors.
Stay indoors. Even if it says stay indoors for a week.
Break the chain.
Break the chain. Stay indoors wherever you are. Stay indoors. If you need to go to the market, let that be very well coordinated.
It's going to be met with a loud, resounding no in a lot of quarters. But the thing is, I think about messages that I've received over the last 1 week, and I look at things that I've heard and read, and one of the things that comes out very loudly from people is, please be very careful. This third wave is not a joke. COVID is real.
Yep.
Over and over and over again. Let's take this thing seriously. It is vicious, etc., etc. But then I look at on the other side messages that even this morning getting from public transport full to capacity, people not wearing masks, people not maintaining social distance. Let's just go stand in the parking in lines to get a matatu. Let's just stand like we're sardines in a can.
Yes.
So if we know on one side that the danger is there and we know what needs to be done at the very basic to be able to protect ourselves, imagine even with the vaccine. Even with the vaccine, even with hospital care, what you're still being told? That there are things that you can do to still protect yourself, even with these scientific research in order.
Lockdown or not?
But I'm saying if we are not doing what we need to do, then we need to break the chain.
So lockdown.
Yeah.
Okay. William Indiani. Good morning.
Morning to you, Eric.
Morning.
Morning to you.
Good morning, William.
Morning to you. For me, COVID is a personal issue. For me, it's very personal. I mean, given that I self-infected myself.
Give yourself
yes,
the
we
virus.
remember.
Yeah, but I finally got the jab, the first dose of the vaccine. And in hindsight, how I'm looking at it, and from the contributions that I've been listening to, coming in through the station, I think people are trying to find a balance between surviving economically and trying to manage the pandemic. And nobody has really come out clearly to offer leadership in how the two can be balanced, that people are able to make their ends meet, prepare to take the kids back to school in the next 7 weeks, because now they are home, and just basic survival. You know, so many people lost their jobs last year. So many people went under. The banks took out their properties because they couldn't service their facilities. Those are the people with fear. And I can tell you, in Kenya, you tell someone to not go outside because there's a big enemy out, and sitting inside and not having a meal, or listening to kids crying to you that they want this and that, and you can't bear it. Of course, most parents will go out. And there's a discussion that I think also, sorry?
If we were just to go straight into the question,
yes.
For you, should the president order a proper lockdown in the country or not?
No.
No.
No. No.
Okay.
No. Definitely no. Because, and my no comes with this, definitely no, because they will honestly not offer a solution on how people can survive economically. There were those waivers that we had on bank transactions, on loans and stuff. Immediately the first opening happened, they defaulted back 3 months. Yeah. And I personally, you know the way you say I personally know someone who has COVID?
Mm-hmm.
I personally know three business people who have gone under. Yeah, I know almost 250 people in hospitality industry here in Diani who are not at work. In fact, you come to Diani right now, you see so many women driving tuk-tuks. Not that they want. They used to be in a kitchen and housekeeping department in a hotel.
Then they lost their jobs.
Now there's someone who can rent the tuk-tuk to them and they earn 300 or 500 shillings a day, but they generate the income for the person who's renting out the tuk-tuk.
Okay.
What has happened of late is that...
Thank you, William. Let's hear from others as well. Asante sana. Thank you for your call. Kanini in Lower Kabete, good morning.
Good morning, SpiceFM.
Good morning.
I think as a general population, we are behaving badly. We have risky behavior.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you go to recreational parks, like on Sunday, Saturday, you'll find small groups, picnic style, with alcohol, without masks. Even in small birthday parties, etc., we don't observe protocols. So we can blame the government, but personally, as the population, I think we are behaving in risky behavior.
So lockdown?
In a way, and supervision if necessary.
Okay.
Using police, etc.
Okay.
Party adabu.
Asante.
Asante.
Thank you very much, Kanini. 0719-012-600. Should the president order another round of lockdown? And this time, make it more strict. Not just saying, you can't get out of Nairobi, but say you can't get out of your home or you can't get out of your estate. Lydia in Nakuru, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
Very well. Fine. How are you, Lydia?
I'm very fine. Now, this about lockdown. We are the government. If we are talking about the lockdown, there shouldn't be lockdown because many people lost their jobs. Many people have lost many things that they could have, yani kutegemea kwamba hii maisha itakuwa the normal. But now this pandemic, it has made us not even to do any proper thing. And I'm supporting this guy because the lockdown shouldn't.
Okay.
If we lock down everything, what will we do?
Okay.
We will just stay at home.
So here we are, Lydia.
Students are waiting.
Here we are.
Waiting to go back to the classroom.
Lydia.
True. Yeah.
Here we are. We are the same people who are not following what has been advised of us.
True. It is true. We are not following. It is true. We are not
what should the government then do?
We'll continue to remind people about the protocols of these things.
They are reminded daily.
Every day.
Daily, we have one problem. That we are told anything, but we are not listening. So how are we going to be helped? Because we are not listening.
Mufungiwe ndani.
Yani kama mtu kama mtoto unapomwambia aate kuchukua sukari na the following day bado anachukua, unampiga kiboko na asikii. What do you do?
Remove the lock up the sugar.
Yeah. That is what I'm talking about.
Okay. Thank you very much, Lydia.
Yeah.
Asante Sana. As we take this break at 29 minutes after 9 o'clock, we want to see what's happening on the roads. We are asking, should President Uhuru Kenyatta order another round of lockdowns? And I'm going to give you the context. When the president was lifting some of these measures last year, the first time he said, I'm hearing what you guys are saying, and I'm also hearing what the experts are saying. The second time he said, if we lift this thing up, I want you to promise yourselves and to promise me that you will observe. And if we don't observe, then we may have to come back here. We are where we are now. Don't tell me, yes, the president is among those who've been breaking the... It's okay. But you have also not been observing. Should the president now come back and say, okay, all of us, we have erred and fallen short, so therefore, let's go back where we were last year. Lockdown. 29 minutes after 9. 0719 012 600. Good morning.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day. Spice up your life. 24/7, around the world, non-stop. This is Spice FM. Classic soul, R&B, smooth jazz, neo soul, and nostalgic ballads.
Make some noise. Yeah.
You're listening to Spice FM.
There are so many people peddling what is false and that it bears remarkable resemblance to what is true.
Politicians have their agenda, and their agenda is to use every opportunity to sell that agenda and to loot this nation.
I have seen major strides that are done in this country when we talk to each other as against talking at each other.
We start getting back into the tribal cocoons which were put to us by the colonial powers. You know, they gave us physical freedom but not mental freedom. We're still mentally colonized today into these cocoons of tribe.
Now, if you live in an area where it's difficult to find a dog.
He's a goat. I kid you not.
In which part of this country is it difficult to find a dog? So that you resort. Nafandi umbo yako iko na pembe.
Nini umba special?
Okay, so looks like traffic is much better in most parts of the city. At least Mombasa Road is still going to be a sore thumb today, sticking out quite so, especially then between General Motors and the Nyeri Stadium roundabout. Very slow today, outbound especially. Inbound not as painful, but look through it during the day, shall we? Also, the Likoni interchange there, spilling off to the southern bypass and then onto Mombasa Road as well. Inbound is a bit of a trouble spot, but apart from that, looks much better. Jogo Road out into the city is looking good. Thika Road, no problems today whatsoever. It was doing very, very well. Headed out to Meru. Guys, be careful about those notorious black spots. Be careful, especially when you're on the wheel, okay? Let's look through it during the day. Talk to us if you need to. SpiceFM KE on Twitter. Text on 40127.
Spice up your life. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
Lockdown or no lockdown? That's a question we're asking you. Give us your answer on social media. Spice FM KE, YouTube, Facebook and Twitter. And 0719 012 600. What is Surrogacy saying?
Surrogacy says, well, no to lockdown. Community transmission is happening. Let's be realistic and see what measures need to be tightened. Let us work together in the implementation of protocols. That's very interesting. However, what measures then need to be tightened? Because if we're saying measures need to be tightened, what measures need to be tightened? What? Increase the... Because Governor Muredi was telling us...
Enforcement, maybe.
Yeah, sure. He was telling us about, the reasons why, for example, the curfew continued to be extended. Because you don't want people in, closed places together for over long periods of time. So you're saying everybody go home and spread that out. Go home. So now if we're saying that these need to be tightened, what are we saying? Enforcement? How did the enforcement work previously? We had a lot of people then being arrested, cash bail, this, that, the other thing. Should there be some kind of on-the-spot prosecution? You're out at a particular time, you have a fine of 300 shillings, something like that. Are we saying that on-the-spot prosecution needs to take place for people to realize, hold on a minute, if I'm not wearing my mask, for example, should I have to pay for it? If I am getting onto a matatu or if I am boarding people
the problem with
beyond
all
capacity,
those things, on-the-spot prosecution,
that
is on-the-spot bribery. This is what we're talking about. You're opening up new avenues for bribery, for harassment of people. This, unfortunately...
Is that not what they mean now when you're saying that measures need to be tightened? Which other way will you tighten measures?
I don't know.
For telling people... Yeah, that's the thing. It's so confusing.
You'll arrest
Safe
people,
for telling
there'll
people
be...
to stay at home. What are you going to be able to
There'll
do?
be violation of human rights
Okay.
in the enforcement.
Exactly.
Governor Nyoro was saying it's possible for you to leave Kiambu and end up in Ngong. That is Kiambu County, Nairobi County, Kajiado County.
Yeah. At 10 p.m. at night and you
Curfew
end up there
hours.
at midnight. Yes. Right? It's possible to be... And that was then. The day they enforced the curfew, inter-county curfew, or rather cessation of movement between counties, we saw people climbing hills, the back route into Nairobi.
Yes.
People are going to find a way out. So what is the problem? There is a problem.
But at least not so many people. At least that time you can say not many people. It's a few people.
Okay, let me give you another example. They closed Isli in Nairobi.
Yes.
And then the next day we were hearing, you want to get into Isli?
I know.
Just pay 100 shillings.
I know a guy.
You see?
Christian in Nairobi, good morning.
Good morning, guys.
Good morning.
I don't see the point for them to implement a lockdown. There's something I saw in the media recently. There are guys who were caught in a club on Gong Road.
Yes.
And they were meant to clean city market.
Mm-hmm.
I just simply think they should implement community service punishment. Because we already have a filthy nation, so we might as well clean the city, clean the towns with COVID flouters.
So you're a winner both ways.
So you're arrested for not wearing your mask. You were told, carry the takataka here, sweep here.
Yes, because you take these people to cells, now you're crowding them there again. You're creating other problems when you start arresting these people.
Yeah.
You know
so
why
let them be productive.
But also, you see, it was very easy for police to go to this particular nightclub and arrest people because it's one slot, one isolated spot. You can arrest them, you can take them to court. The court can then do whatever the court did. Can you imagine in a market, Christian? And let's just be real. Go to a market, go to Wakulima. And you're enforcing the law. And you're trying now to start saying that the Kanjo guys and the police are arresting people for not wearing masks.
Well, what's wrong with that?
Furore.
People go mad.
No, people go mad when you send 2-3 policemen. You send GSU with nobody. People just will wear their masks. Nobody wants trouble. They'll just wear their masks.
Okay.
And there's enough police personnel. There's enough police trucks that the Jubilee government has spent a lot of money on that. So we can use those trucks, arrest people. They go clean the market, clean the city, clean where, go clean toilets in police stations.
Okay.
People will just simply stop flouting these rules because you just know I'll be made to do work that I don't want to do. Yeah.
Sawa. Asante sana.
All right. Have a good day.
Thank you.
You too.
0719-012-600. Enforcement of the current regulations and protocols or introducing more strict measures.
So I don't think it would be... Probably it's a clamping down on some of these measures. And I think that you're going to have to introduce something that people don't want to do. And the option that they're going to take is to mask up, maintain social distance, or do something. Because it's clear that left to our own whims, we will not take responsibility. The people that you see putting on a mask, the people that you see staying out of circulation as much as they can are on the minimum, are the minority. Majority of people are not, unfortunately.
You know, whereas I can understand from the one end, when you talk about a lockdown, you're talking about affecting livelihoods. And that is big because this is what happened last year. And there was not even that kind of a lockdown.
Yeah.
Now, if you say lock people up and tell them, do not get out of your house. Then you are introducing some new social issues that you may not be able to handle. You don't even have the money to feed people.
It's difficult.
There's one side.
It's difficult.
But on the other side, if you say that you are now unleashing cops to go and enforce, today people are overcrowding in matatus. People are walking without wearing face masks. If you say that you start enforcing this, will you be able to achieve what we need to achieve pretty fast? Because this virus is right now spreading. It has been spreading for the last 3 months. You see, it's at a point where we are at a peak.
The thing is that if you unleash security agents, for example, police on people, okay, sure, you kill 2 birds with 1 stone, because then you essentially get people to mask up because they don't want to get arrested, right? Or harassed by police.
Yes.
Whereas what you want to do is get people to realize the importance of them protecting themselves and each other. That's what you want to do. In this case, people are going to then do it because they're afraid of what would happen to them in the hands of the police, not necessarily because they want to protect themselves or others. So what you really want to send the message home that you need to mask up or maintain social distance or wash your hands because you want to protect yourself from getting ill and your loved ones, or even people in your area, your community. That's the point. But one of the problems then with unleashing police is that people get scared, and so essentially are scared into submission.
And they will revolt at some point. John in Nakuru.
Yeah, thank you very much. My name is John from Nakuru.
Right.
Good morning.
Very happy of what you are telling us. But I've got one problem. Traffic policemen and the matatu, these are the main cause of this problem we are going through. If you travel from Nakuru to Elbagon through Molo up to Olenguruoni, we have got some roadblocks, and these matatus are full to capacity. And whatever they do, they pass through the roadblocks, and they just give some greetings to the policemen, and they just go through. So the cause of all this problem is between the matatus and the traffic policemen. I also support what my friend said about this punishment. If these matatus can be stopped, and whoever is not having a mask, we're having these community services or kazi kwa vijana. These people can be given slashers and clear some bushes around. I think they'll learn some lesson.
They'll learn a lesson. Asante sana, John. And yeah, that's a very big problem where you have people who are supposed to be enforcing the law, like now traffic police officers, not doing what they should be doing. They're
bigger problem.
Yeah. While at the same time, the passengers are sitting there. The passengers are very okay boarding a matatu that is full.
This is the thing. It's a responsibility that people have to take, and it's clear it's behavior. So if you say that you this is what needs to be done, people are not doing it, then what do you want to be done? It's just like you said. A child is taking sugar every day, and you know that they're harming themselves. You've told them on day 1, stop taking sugar. They say, okay. They're still getting sicker and sicker by taking the sugar. So what do? Lock up the sugar.
You lock up the sugar.
What do we do?
Not the child.
We're not dealing with an if. Well, in this case, unfortunately, you can't lock up COVID. You can't. It's the COVID that's chasing us. We're not talking about can happen. We're talking about is happening today now. And is there something that can be done? Yes. On the very minimum. Okay, they say government should provide hospital beds and this, that, and that, and the other. Okay, they're trying to work on it. They don't have money. They're trying to work on it. Is there something you can do in the meantime today to take care of yourself? And we're saying, yes, there is.
There is, huh?
Yeah.
And you should find out what that is and do it. Okay, 18 minutes to 10. We still want to hear from you. Lockdown or no lockdown? That's a question we're asking. Should the president lock down the country for 2 weeks just to stop this wave, to break the chain of this rapid transmission of COVID-19 in the third wave? People are talking about, not having access to facilities. Machakos County governor has said, I don't have facilities. Kiambu, they're saying, you know what, we are getting strained. Laikipia, they're saying, okay, we are a bit far, but already our numbers are increasing and they're rising. We have seen the same. Nyeri has said, you know what, we are not able to cope with the numbers that we are seeing. Nakuru has said the same thing. Mombasa said, look, we are at a position where we need to do something. So, is a lockdown the solution? Let's hear from you. Good morning.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day. Spice up your life.
Sugar and spice and everything nice, just the way you like it.
The Spice Drive.
Did you have a great day? I hope you did. I intend to make it better from 3 p.m. to 7 p.m. I'm going to be taking you home nice and chill. Everyone is welcome aboard. The hashtag is Spice Drive and, of course, SpiceFM KE on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter.
The Spice Drive with Monique, the official soundtrack of getting you where you need to be. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
16 to 10. The conversation continues. Ayeta John has a comment.
Says, I work at a sixth wave. Bora, Mungu, ametupa uhai. Huh? So long as God gives us life.
Yeah, you
It's
lock
okay.
down.
Even you lock it down until
you
whenever,
don't
so long
lock
as
down,
we're alive.
sorry,
That's what's
Yako,
important.
You do what you want to do.
Wow.
It's also a point where the people behave the way they behave because they feel like you're on your own. So you want to do what you can do.
You're not going to help me anyway, right?
Yes. But at the same time, it's I think we've gotten to a point as a society, as a Kenyan society, where we're very individualistic. It's about what what is in it for me? What is it that I can do? So I don't really care about you, Ndu. You wearing mask? Oh, no. I need to get out. I need to look for food. I need to feed my family. I need to do this and the other. The government is not going to help me. You are not going to help me. So
let me do what I
none
need to
of
do for
you
me.
should tell me anything. I don't want to be told anything by anyone. And that's where the big challenge also comes in. 0719-012-600. We are asking this morning, should the president order another round of lockdowns to combat the third wave of COVID-19? Odhiambo in Nairobi.
Good morning, guys.
Good morning.
I think the president should not introduce another lockdown. Like the governors, have plainly put it clear that there need to be prioritization. Now, let us have the police. We have so many assignments for the police officers.
Yes.
Now, let the police suspend the current, miscellaneous engagement, and then the police should be made to focus on one thing of handling the disobedience of the COVID rules. Now, yes. Now, and what the human mind fears most is either humiliation or punitive application that injures either his person or his skills. Let us apply corporal punishment for these people that are not complying. For example,
flog them on the streets.
On the street, yes. It will cause embarrassment. Yes, and the people will be scared. So people will have to comply. Now, police should work in groups. Because if you do it when you are only two people, there could be a reaction from the public. Now, they work in groups and then they identify you. Yeah, you are not putting on the mask. You are held there, put on the ground and given some 2 lashes. Now, then you are set to go.
Will it teach a lesson? Will it teach a permanent lesson? Or will it be a temporary solution?
Yeah, if you do that for 2 weeks, you don't do it every day. For 2 weeks, there will be that change of attitude, change of mind.
You know what I'm fearing with that, Odhiambo?
Sorry?
You know what I'm fearing with that?
Yeah.
Is remember the scenes that we saw at the Likoni ferry when the first curfew was introduced? That's what I'm fearing. That police then go out overzealously whipping everybody just because you're not wearing your mask or because you appear to be walking close to the person who's ahead of you and it's not 1.5 meter distance. Get a whip. How do we how do we avoid that?
Yeah, I happen to have been a teacher before. There are some courses which are called refresher courses. Now, the police need to be subjected to some refresher courses for this particular exercise, so that within the, provided rationale.
Okay.
They stop a matatu, and there is a lot of laxity in the matatu or in the public service. Now they stop the vehicle, they identify those people who are not wearing masks, they are pulled out. The vehicle will wait for them. They are pulled out, they are given they are taken back. And then the process will continue like that. If you do that for a week, this is an emergency, my friend. It's an emergency.
Spot treatment.
That's all I wanted to share with you guys.
Thank you.
Thanks, Odhiambo.
Have a good day.
I think come out of the matatu.
Come out.
Shika ukuta. Go in. If you actually do that for 2 weeks, I'm sure if you asked some administrators, they'll tell you that's what to do.
Has it taught the lesson, though?
Ask George Natembe. He'll tell you,
Has it taught the lesson?
Simple.
Has it taught the lesson, though? So now you're not putting on your mask. Okay. Then I guess at the end of the day, you fulfill what you're trying to do. The end, because at the end of the day, what you're trying to get people to do is put on their mask, protect the person who's next to them and themselves, right? Whether they've learned
you're a danger unto yourself and others.
Okay, so let's beat you up.
Billy, Missouri. You land and you go back. You land. Tomorrow you'll see a cop and you'll remember. Where? What are they supposed to do? Yes. Just the same thing about, enforcing the curfew initially. Because of the way the cops were just beating people left, right, and center, you do not want to be out at 6. Did you see initially when the curfew was at 7? 6 p.m., 6:15, streets are deserted. It was that time of the year when the sun set earlier. It was very dark. 0719-012-600. What should the president do? Should the president order another round of lockdowns to combat the third wave of COVID-19? And if not, then what should he do?
I mean, look.
I'm not going to ask you what we should do. Surrogacy is saying we have to educate. We have to educate on protocols, impact of implementation, enforce among ourselves. First, have innovative ways to enforce. Surrogacy, I hear you, but my friend,
it's either you folks want to do this or not. If anything, look, I understand that the communication from the very beginning could have been a little bit more robust in terms of telling people exactly what it is that we're dealing with, and maybe we would have caught on the way, CT tells us all the time about how people caught on with the HIV/AIDS messaging. So maybe that one is a little, has sailed some. But today we've seen. They've told us, even, that's what I was trying to say before, that they've told even with a vaccine, you've got the shot in your arm, you still are in danger of getting this thing. So what can you do to stop yourself from getting it? And we have seen that there are certain things that you can do to drastically reduce your chances of getting COVID. It can be done. Why don't we do it?
I don't know.
Even if today, look, think about it like this. Even if today, Nairobi County somehow miraculously got 200,000 ICU beds.
Yeah.
And you're sitting in a matatu next to somebody without your mask on and you've not sanitized.
Yep.
Those beds that they've put in the county hospital, will they help you?
Nope. They don't. They don't help you. Let's go to the phone lines. 0719-012-600. That's 0719-012-600. Should President Uhuru Kenyatta order another round of lockdown to combat the third wave of COVID-19? All the way in Lokichogio is Maxwell. Are you in Lokichogio, Maxwell?
I am in Nairobi currently.
Yeah, you're a traveler.
Yes.
Okay.
Once upon a time, you were in Lokichogio.
Yes, I was.
Mm-hmm. All right.
So, for me, the number one cause of all the spread of COVID and everything, number one, the president, his deputy, and the prime minister. They are the ones who've been calling the meetings.
Mm-hmm.
They let people lose, and we are paying for that right now.
Uh-huh.
Yes, so it goes back to them. Let them start preaching the message every single day, so that then let us use the chiefs and needs to spread the message of
BBI
of COVID instead of BBI.
But Maxwell, okay, we hear you. So use the government machinery to basically go ahead and come up with the fresh messaging about COVID-19. This is what needs to happen. Use the chiefs, use the headmen, use the deputy county commissioners, the county commissioners, police commanders in the counties. Use them to go telling people, okay, wananchi watukufu, tafadhali vaa mask. Usipovaa mask unahatarisha maisha yako na ya mwenzako. Tafadhali.
Osha mkono.
Osha mkono. Go around the country saying this.
It's about messaging, man, and that communication hits home somewhere. It could have been done much earlier, but look, something like that actually doesn't hurt, because here you are. You don't know if this third wave will be the last one. You don't know if the next one will come. You don't know. So now living with that possibility, is that something you can do? Yeah, and I think it's very heavy. Messaging has to be quite heavy. Still, it can't just be, responsibility on your shoulder, and then you stop at that. It has to go a little bit.
It has to be more.
Not a bad idea. Actually.
Some social media comments.
All right. Lockdown according to MK. No way. We are in this mess because we have mishandled the pandemic from day one. There you go. Embezzled funds for ICU beds and stuff. The list is endless. At this point, it's God for us all. Thomas says, it's clear there's an upsurge with the third wave of COVID-19. Enforcement of the prevention measures by cops needs to be scaled up. So yeah, there's one for saying cops should come in. Joram says, this is a conversation over irresponsibility. It started with our leaders and all of us cheered and attended those meetings. Now everybody thinks it's only in Matatus where the virus is. The SGR is overloading. Is there no virus there? Let everybody mask up. Yes.
So we all did this. It's not just the political rallies.
No.
Christmas, people traveled.
Yep.
Left, right, and center.
People traveled across the country for Christmas.
And we put everybody else in danger. And this is where we are right now. The same enforcement that saw people maimed by bloodthirsty cops. Is that what you're talking about?
Joram also says, when COVID tended to give us a break, we relaxed. The government gave MCAs 4 billion to pass the BBI instead of building up ICU capacity. Then you think a lockup is necessary? Really?
Wow.
There are realities on both sides of this.
Yeah, that's true.
This is the thing. On both sides, for both arguments, the thing is, you want to lock up now and stop people from going out and doing some kind of economic activity that will feed them at the end of the day, where you had an opportunity to use available funds to maybe enhance messaging or, enforce or enhance your capacity to be able to treat your sick, and we didn't. So then now you want to say, well, okay, if we want to stop the disease from spreading, it is upon you, 47 million.
But this is typical of us Kenyans, eh?
Yeah, pointing.
You always point fingers and you say, now, why now? This is the time you're telling me you should have done this yesterday. This is what we do as Kenyans, but we forget. Deal with the now. Stop saying, okay, why are you arresting me and not arresting that other one? Have you done something wrong that deserves to be arrested? That's the most important question here. Where we are at right now, people are not 100% observing these measures.
No.
Not 100%. Yes, the statistics, even in hospitals, the statistics will show that people have, in terms of personal hygiene, people have improved in the last 1 year.
Oh, yeah, sure.
The number of cases that used to be there because of those diarrheal diseases has reduced. People have been washing their hands more regularly. That will show that there has been some sort of adherence. But that adherence is not enough. If you just get out of Nairobi, go to any small town in this country, and you will count the number of people who have masks, if you find any.
You're getting out of Nairobi. Jogo Road. Just go on the other side. Jogo Road.
Of Jogo Road.
It's not happening, man.
Nothing like...
No.
Go to downtown, you'll find people are just not wearing masks. So, people... You can't say it. Those people don't know why they should be wearing a mask.
No, they do. But I think people know. It's just that now, there's a lot of exhaustion that has come with this. And I don't talk about the physical. It's like, okay, you know what? Can we get over with this thing already? Nobody's going to help me. Just like you said, it's about me. Nobody's going to help me right now when I'm looking for food for my family for 2 days. So let me do what I need to do. You want me to wear a mask? How is it helping me or not helping me? It's not. And I think it's a dangerous place to be. When you're at that point where people are thrown up their hands and said, I can't deal with what you're saying. Thank you. It sounds good, but I cannot deal with that right now. I have other things that I need to
especially by a government that you cannot trust. This is a government that told us that we're going to have vaccine rollout, and we're hearing from governors that, yes, vaccine rollout is a challenge. Governors are telling us vaccine rollout is a challenge. Our healthcare workers were not involved, were not brought on board. And this is a very basic thing in running a campaign. Whatever campaign, critical stakeholder, make sure that they are on board before you even discuss anything else.
The more painful thing is they've done it before. It has been done before. Name them. Polio. Name it. They've come to the door of your house. Why is it that people would be so coordinated until you have people walking 2 by 2, coming to your home to administer vaccines
voluntary
to your
health
children?
workers? Yes.
Come on.
And now here we are.
Here we are pretending as if we don't know what to do. I beg. See ya, Eric.
See you tomorrow. Then.
Okay.
Okay, today's proverb as we come to the end of the show is a wrong step by the leader is a warning for those following. A wrong step by the leader is a warning for those following. Observe your leader. Like, seriously.
And then know where you're going.
And then know where you're going. When they make a wrong step, just know that there's a likelihood that things are not right. Okay? This is Kenya's biggest conversation, The Situation Room. We thank you very much for tuning in this morning. Tell them about what comes after this.
So uninterrupted music well until 3 o'clock, and then Monique is going to step in to take you home on the Spice Drive. And then thereafter, join Barbara and Baka on The Adults in the Room, and that's until 10 p.m. tonight. And in between, uninterrupted music, sugar and spice and everything nice.
And everything nice.
And then we will be back here tomorrow morning at 6 a.m.